The Cross Insurance Center in Bangor, Maine for NEF Sub-Zero. Has there ever been a more appropriate title for an NEF show given today's weather than Sub-Zero? The Cross Insurance Center. Who's here to see Bryce Bamford tonight? Sub-Zero. Who's here to see Zach Richard tonight? Has there ever been a more appropriate title for an NEF show given Who's ready to see everyone inside this cage tonight? Oddly enough, more people would Bamford than everyone else. Sub-Zero. Who's here to see Zach Richard tonight? Has there ever been Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin tonight's official competition, who's ready to see everyone inside this cage tonight for the playing of our national anthem, which will be about NEF Sub-Zero. Who's here to see Zach Richard tonight? Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin tonight's official competition, who's ready to see everyone inside this cage tonight for the playing of our national anthem, which will be about NEF Sub-Zero. Who's here to see Zach Richard tonight? Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin tonight's official competition, who's ready to see everyone inside this cage tonight for the playing of our national anthem, which will be about NEF Sub-Zero. Who's here to see Zach Richard tonight? Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin tonight's official competition, who's ready to see everyone inside this cage tonight for the playing of our national anthem, which will be about NEF Sub-Zero. Who's here to see Zach Richard tonight? Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin tonight's official competition, who's ready to see everyone inside this cage tonight for the playing of our national anthem, which will be NEF Sub-Zero. Who's here to see Zach Richard tonight? Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin tonight's official competition, who's ready to see everyone inside this cage tonight for the playing of our national anthem, which will be NEF Sub-Zero. Who's here to see Zach Richard tonight? Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin tonight's official competition, who's ready to see everyone inside this cage tonight for the playing of our national anthem, which will be NEF Sub-Zero. And also, Zach Richard tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin tonight's official competition, who's ready everyone inside this cage tonight for the playing. You guys ready to get the fight started? Who's here to see this show on the Sub-Zero? Who's here to see Zach?
And welcome to NEF 37. Brian Stackpole, Ryan Jarrell with you as we have 11 fights coming your way. It should be a grand time from the Grand Ballroom at the Cross Insurance Center in Bangor, Maine. Man, this is absolutely delightful, not only to be in Bangor, but to also have all these great fights on tap.
Yeah, it may be cold outside, but it is hot in here tonight, and there's a lot of great fights, top to bottom, starting with this first one here as the first competitor is making it down to the cage. But really, quite an event here in the Cross Center. I'm happy to have him back in the Queen City in Bangor.
Yeah, it's going to be a great night of fights. There are 9 amateur, 2 professional, and 2 champions will be crowned, both at featherweight, 145 pounds. Fred Lear already was the bantamweight champion in the amateur ranks, and he's going to be taking on a talented and undefeated Zach Richard coming up here in one of the last fights of the night. Oh, and by the way, Josh Hook on Harvey, who has yet to suffer defeat, he's going against a New England mixed martial arts legend in Bill Jones.
No doubt. And did you see how ripped Bill Jones was at the weigh-ins? 40 years old, I'm not quite sure. I want to see his birth certificate and see how old he is, because that man is in tip-top shape.
And not just that, he had been calling out Josh Harvey the whole lead up to the fight, basically saying, hey, I don't know if you're going to be able to make weight. And guess what? Josh Harvey, who missed weight at 155, made it at 145, meaning that there will be a champion crowned at that level. Well, it should be a great one. Anyways, this is going to be starting off. It's going to be Rob Kaya taking on Joe Howard. Both guys have had limited experience in the cage. Rob Kaya, 1-0 from Young's MMA. Joe Howard also clocked in at 145. This is a featherweight matchup, has 2 fights, and it is a 1-1 record for Howard out of CM BJJ.
Howard's first fight was a win over Brandon Clark. That was at NEF 34 via guillotine choke in round 1. Second time out, he actually suffered a rear naked choke loss to Jordan Young who trains. He's an independent, but he trains out of Young's MMA, so you know he's got some phenomenal training partners there. And Robbie Kaya, another Young's MMA product, he's got a tough test on his hands tonight.
Yeah, Kaya has not fought since NEF 16 back in 2015, so it's been a little bit of a stretch away from the cage for him, but he seemed pretty confident when we were able to speak with him last weekend. Very quiet in terms of words, but hoping his punches can do the talking for him. As he's getting ready, and Chris Young and company from Young's MMA are going to be doing a lot of, coaching in this matchup because basically, I think, what was it, something along the lines of like 8 fighters or whatnot that he's had?
I mean, this is a very long and busy night for the Young's MMA coaching staff. They're going to have their hands full right out here, backstage, warming up the fighters coming up. So, very fun-filled night, and hopefully it's going to be a good one for Young's MMA.
Well, with that in mind, we're going to now send it to the legendary Pete Zimbor for the introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, we kick things off in the amateur ranks. This fight brought to you by Sea Dog Brewing Company, and it is scheduled for 3 3-minute rounds in the featherweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner to my right. He trains with Team CMBJJ. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Howard. And his opponent, standing directly across the cage, fighting out of the red corner to my left. He trains with Young's MMA right here in Bangor, Maine. Ladies and gentlemen, Rob Kaya. 3 rounds, featherweight.
And we're getting ready to start things here. We're just going to pull on the crowd mic, and we are ready to go. Both men will be wearing the black trunks today. The yellow will be on Joe Howard, while the all-black will be Rob Kaya, wearing also the red on his gloves.
Oh, Howard comes out and lands a flush shot right over the top, lands right on Rob's face, and Rob's doing a good job getting it to the cage, but he doesn't land on top. Howard's on top, and it's a nice scramble as Kaya pushes Howard right to the cage.
One thing we did find out listening to Kaya this past weekend is that he is a wrestler, actually wrestled for the Witches of Brewer High School, so he's pretty comfortable when it does get down to the mat, but Joe Howard looking very, very strong early on.
That was a nice toss right there, and he tried to get over into mount, and Kaya did a good job of reversing that. Now Kaya's on top.
Yeah, beautiful rollover for Kaya, who looked like he was in some trouble early on, but now trying to work with the top mount.
Now this is a really comfortable spot for Kaya as a wrestler, and the type of work that they put in at Young's MMA. It's a comfortable position for him, but he doesn't want to just get complacent here. He wants to try to advance and score some points. But Howard's doing a good job of neutralizing him at this moment.
Yeah, Howard does not look uncomfortable on his back though. I imagine he's got to have some dangerous moves as well. Though the pickup right here, the slam down, and that gets the crowd a little bit more energetic here at the Cross Insurance Center.
Kaya's trying to posture up and land some punches right now, but Howard's doing a really good job of keeping Kaya close to him. As they're both up against the cage right now. And there he goes again, Kaya trying to land that overhand, or that, that left from the top.
Great attendance here at the Cross Insurance Center. It is a sellout earlier in the week. Now Kaya trying to get in. Looks like he's trying to maybe get a choke in. Again, controlling from the top. Rob Kaya out of Young's MMA.
Full mount now. This is a bad position for Howard, especially up against the cage. If he was in the middle of the I don't want to say octagon, but the middle of the ring here, he'd be able to try and get out. But really, what am I talking about? What a great job by Howard. Doesn't matter if he gets against the cage or in the middle of the ring.
So much heart from Howard with a beautiful scramble to get back onto his feet and almost in a decent position. Now he's going to try to be the aggressor. So we talked about Howard last lost his fight back on September here in Bangor. So he's trying to avenge that one in the last foray here in this Bangor Cross Insurance Center.
That was a great reversal by Kaya. Howard was trying to get over into full mount right there, and Kaya just took advantage of that opportunity. As right now, he might be in a little bit of a pickle right there. He's going for an arm bar, but Kaya, again, very smart and aware of what's going on.
Landed a good couple of lefts there on the way back to their feet, and again, Kaya drops him to the mat.
This has been a very even round one so far. Now we're at 10 seconds to go in the first round, with Kaya still on top and Howard working to get out of the bottom, which he survives, and we're on to round two.
And Kaya lands one punch there at the end. But Ryan, how would you assess that first 3 minutes to start off this NEF 37 card? Because a couple of takedowns from Kaya, he dominated a lot of the possession, a lot of the time in the cage, but I was impressed with Howard also trying to get out and doing so effectively multiple times.
I would say it was a very even round one. I mean, if you got a coin, you can flip it, and you never know what the judges are really looking for. But both of these guys seem to be similar in strength and skill set, both early on in their amateur careers. And we're going to see who has the better gas tank. I always say it. The better conditioned athlete, if everything's equal, usually will be the one to get the victory. So round two, we'll see if someone starts to fade. But that first round could go either way, in my opinion.
And this is the perfect way, in my opinion, to start a card like this. We knew there could be some fireworks. You saw some good punches. You saw some really good takedowns, some good grappling. And this is an exact way, if you're the matchmakers of NEF, to get this thing underway. Basically wet the whistle for what's to come.
No doubt about it. You want to start the night off with an exciting, close fight, and that's what we got so far. We'll see what round two brings.
Well, we're just about ready to get round two between Howard and Kaya, both extremely respected gyms in the state of Maine. CMBJJ for Howard and Kaya with Young's MMA. And we're back underway now, and a beautiful right and a good flurry there before the tie-up with Kaya.
Howard's having some success on the feet. He's landed a couple big shots, but Kaya's able to absorb that punishment. And when he gets in close, he's able to really get Howard down to the ground, and he's doing a good job right now.
Kaya now working on the side control. Seems like he is a little bit more comfortable on the mat as opposed to Howard, as you alluded to, doing a much better job on his feet, landing some very heavy blows.
Yeah, Howard's landed a couple of big overhand rights that have landed right on the jaw of Robbie Kaya. He's taken a really good job of absorbing those punches, as I've said. And right now he's landing hammer fists as he has Howard trapped on the bottom, and he's in side control landing these shots. That's a really good start to the second round for Kaya.
Yeah, and Howard unable to really do much in terms of defense there until he got his right arm back out. Now he's being able to at least make sure he doesn't have those hammering blows to the left side of his forehead and face.
See, if Kaya was able to get that left knee just up a little bit higher, there he goes. Yep. He's got his arm trapped now. Now he's able to, if he can keep it there, he's going to really be able to go to work. As you're seeing right now, he can't defend this. His arm is trapped, and Kaya is landing some big shots.
Yeah, well, I was wondering, and now he's going to see if he can try to take the back. He's got at least one arm in. The RNC looks to be there. Is it strong enough?
It's tough to tell from our vantage point right now. They're on the other side of the cage. It's kind of an awkward position right now.
Looks like he's got the hooks in. Howard might be fading, wrenching on the neck of Howard, who's alleviating just enough pressure on it by Kaya.
I think this is going to be it right here. Yeah, there it is.
So Rob Kaya will move his record to 2-0, beating Clifford Redmond, and now besting Joe Howard, who put up a great fight, landed a whole bunch of great blows in that one, was able to defend the takedown and actually do some great work on the mat. But when all was said and done, Rob Kaya really came to play, and one of the reasons why he is such a big prospect coming out of Bangor, Maine. So all things considered, great way to start this festivity, isn't it, Ryan?
No doubt about it.
So with that involved, we've got our Pete Zimbor, who will announce in just a moment who is the winner, which we know. It's the Bangor, Maine product from Young's MMA, fighting out of the red corner.
Ladies and gentlemen, the end comes at 1 minute and 44 seconds of round number 2. Your winner via submission due to a rear naked choke, Rob Kaya.
So the end comes, rear naked choke at 1:44 in the second round as Rob Kaya, as we alluded to, moves to 2-0 in his young amateur career. By the way, also Howard, though it is a loss, he will drop his record down to 1-2, but no shame in that effort. I think that was a pretty good fight on his part, even though it didn't go the full duration.
No doubt about it. He showcased some good skill set, and Robbie Kai is a tough kid. Again, training with Young's MMA, you've got a bunch of killers that are right around that weight class. So iron sharpens iron, and I'm sure Joe Howard will get right back in there with CMBJJ, and he'll be better and be back and probably get a win his next time out.
And as we talked about before, Young's MMA featured quite a bit on this card because coming up next, Glory Watson, speaking about undefeated, she will make another step forward into this cage, I should say, almost said octagon, and she'll be competing next against Rachel Lippert out of Fearless MMA. Crowd excited for this one. A lot of Bangor-based fighters. Also Young's MMA will feature Roger Youwer, Katie Denning, Fred Lear, CJ Youwer, and Josh Harvey before all is said and done.
Actually, I think the Glory fight's been moved. Right now we got Clifford Redmond and Jordan Young up next.
Oh, thank you. I got the updated one from earlier, and I apologize for that. So it will be Jordan Young, Clifford Redmond. We will see a little bit more of Glory Watson in a couple of fights, but this is going to be fought at the bantamweight ranks. So Ryan, what do we know about this fight coming up here between these two combatants?
Well, Clifford Redmond, he's been at this for a while now. He's 0-7, but look, anytime you have the cojones to step into the cage, that most people don't, right? You got to be able to step in there. He's hungry to get that first win. You got to imagine that he's coming to bang, and he's got a tough fight on his hands tonight because his opponent and Jordan Young, although he's an independent, he trains out of Young's MMA. He lost his last time out, so he wants to get back in the win column. So these are two guys that are really coming to get a W tonight.
Technically, these are both independent fighters, as Jordan has been training a little bit at Young's MMA, but has not made the full commitment there. But Clifford Redmond, again, you can't deny the experience. And we were actually able to see him versus Muhammad Al-Kinani, and he went against a very game opponent. It was a tough matchup for him, ultimately his 7th loss. But as you alluded to, Ryan, you can't disrespect the amount of time that he has spent in the cage, albeit a lot of early finishes. He still has been game.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Look who he's fought. You're talking about, Mr. Redmond here. He's fought Angelo Rizzatello. That's a guy that has, been doing this for a little while. He trains out of a tough gym. Zach Richards, who's fighting Fred Lear tonight for the title. Those aren't pushovers. Those are tough guys. And Rob Kaya early on in his career. So he's not going in there against cupcakes. He's going in there against guys that train, that love the sport, and that are coming to really make a name for themselves. And this is going to be a very interesting test between these two gentlemen here tonight.
And we saw a guy before in this New England Fights promotion who had a lackluster record, and it's Zenon Herrera, like Clifford Redmond, for instance. And you know what he did in 2018? He picked up a big-time victory, and
he beat John Rea.
Yeah, he beat John Rea, a legend in this Maine mixed martial arts scene. So there's no chance that you can say a fight is won or lost just on paper. So this will be an exciting one as Jordan Young takes on Clifford Redmond in this matchup. So both fighters are inside the cage, and we are just about ready to get the introductions from, again, the legendary voice of New England Fights, Pete Zimbor, as both fighters get their last-second instructions. The crowd eagerly anticipating the second of 11 fights.
Ladies and gentlemen, your second bout of the evening is brought to you by the Ramada of Bangor, Maine. When you're in town for NEF here in Bangor, make sure you stay at the Ramada. This fight is scheduled for 3 3-minute rounds in the bantamweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner to my right, an independent fighter, no stranger to NEF. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, Clifford Redmond. And his opponent standing directly across the cage, fighting out of the red corner to my left. He trains with Young's MMA right here in Bangor, Maine. Ladies and gentlemen, Jordan Young.
All right, we are almost ready to get things back underway. This will be an anticipated bout again being fought at the catch weight of 140.
Oh, wow, Jordan is coming right out for it right from the beginning. Looking to get this fight to the ground, but he doesn't land on top. He's trying to get up right now. does a good job grabbing a single leg, and he's going to slam Redmond. That was a big slam, but he fell right into a choke right now. We'll see if he can get out of this one.
I don't know if Redmond actually even let go of the choke, even though he was slamming. Looks like he had in the guillotine, and then now it's broken off. But he was basically holding on for dear life before the slam and still was able to do that. But, again, kudos to Jordan Young, who's now in a decent position.
We'll see if he can separate right now from the guard of Clifford Redmond and start to land some punches. You know he wants to land some big bombs right here while he's got him on his back.
Both guys posturing for position, though Young, more of the aggressor. He's in a lot better of a spot right now than his opponent.
Looks like Redmond might be bleeding a little bit, too. I wonder if that slam to the cage opened up a cut.
That's the beauty of the slam. Some things can jostle out there, cause breaks, bruises, cuts. Good left there from the Young fighter from Young's MMA, Jordan Young.
We spoke with Devin Corson earlier, a guy that loves slamming his opponents, and he promised us one here tonight, so we'll have to look forward to that, as right now Jordan Young is landing down some big blows. That one may have been to the back of the head right there, but he's landed some ones right to the side of the head, pretty clear, right in his corner as Aaron Lacey is barking instructions, and Jordan Young is going for it.
Looked like he might have been able to finish Redmond there for a moment, then he spins around trying to get the guard back up. That was a very dangerous situation for the 0-7 fight. Young just 1-2 in his career, looking to even up the record, and he's got the neck again. Will we have our second straight rear naked choke finish?
There he is, he tapped. Jordan Young, first round RNC, very impressive victory.
As he will move to 2-2, screams out with that primal yell as he wins for the first time since September. And guess what? That was also here in this ballroom, which has been very kind to Jordan Young. So a nice victory for him as he picks up the win. His victories now will be against Joe Howard and also to Clifford Redmond.
Ladies and gentlemen, the end comes at 2 minutes and 1 second of round number 1. Your winner, due to a rear naked choke submission, Jordan Young.
So Jordan Young getting the respect, shaking the hands of his opponents in his opponent's corner as well. As you see, one of those fighters in there, or at least one of the cornermen for young Jordan Young, it's none other than Aaron Lacey. And Aaron Lacey's actually going to be planning a wedding here soon, so not sure we'll see Relentless in the near future, but hoping to see Aaron back in the cage. But he's very, very excited for the man he was quartering, Jordan Young.
Absolutely. And, you know, Aaron Lacey's wedding date is actually on my birthday.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm turning 24 again. It's
June
24
29th. Again.
Yeah,
for the what year is it now that you're turning 24?
Oh, I can't remember, Brian. No,
24th year, 24?
Oh, geez, it's not that much, but, hey, we can all dream.
Well, 2 fights in the books already. We've had 2 exciting submission finishes, both by rear naked choke, which means we got another one coming right around the corner, as this is going to be an action-packed night of fights, and it's already lived up to the bill. So, Ryan, we've seen 2 stoppages here. What else are you looking forward to here on the amateur card, other than, of course, the title fight? Give us a couple other ones to keep an eye out for before we welcome in the next 2 combatants.
Well, I cannot wait for the heavyweights to get in there. Bryce Bamford and Roger Youwer. I'm just worried that this cage might not have enough support to handle these 2 big boys in there. That is going to be one you do not want to blink.
So the next fight is going to be
Nate Boucher and Dylan Henry at 135 pounds. Right now, Dylan Henry out of First Class MMA is making his way down to the cage. This is his debut fight. And he's got some studs in his corner. He's got Walt Shea, he's got Juan Meneses, and he has his head coach, John Rea.
What do you think it's going to feel like to be a fighter making his first foray into the cage? Some fighters have nerves, some are very confident. How do you think Dylan looks, at least walking up, especially with all those veterans around him?
Well, I mean, I think they all have nerves. I mean, you got to imagine anytime you care about something, you're going to have nerves because it means the world to you. You want to go in there, you want to get a win, and you're doing it in front of 1,000 people right here at the Cross Center, and however many people are watching online right now. I mean, it's a lot of pressure. So he's going to be a little bit nervous. It's just going to be how he's going to control that when he gets into the cage. One thing's for certain, he looks the part. He's nice and cut up and looks good for his weight class here.
Well, he'll be wearing the black and yellow trunks, again flanked by the team at First Class MMA. We talk about respected gyms. That's one of the top ones, and they had so much success over the last couple of years. But going against the guy who wants what other people have, he wants a championship in the amateur ranks, and Nate Boucher might be a man who gets it in 2019 because he thinks this calendar year is his year.
Oh, we've had him on the show before, Brian, and he is very, very angry about that fight losing skid that he had, losing to Justin Witham, Ryan Burgess, and Walt Shea. The Shea loss was a definitive one. He lost that one. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But the two previous with Justin Witham and Ryan Burgess, those are split decision losses, so those really could have gone either way. And I think he's using that as motivation to silence his haters and to silence the critics that say he's not as good as people may have thought he was initially when he started 2-0. This is his chance to get in there, to put a stamp on another, victory over a tough guy from a tough camp. Anyone that's training in the First Class MMA is going to be coming to fight. So this is a big night for young Nate Boucher.
And this is a guy who thought he had beaten Justin Witham, and he wants that belt back. He really does, and he's motivated to put that back in his rearview mirror and get that title he thought he had won back on November 3rd of 2017. So we'll see if he makes it a two-fight winning streak, and then maybe Witham coming up next. But in his way, making his debut, Dylan Hendry.
Ladies and gentlemen, for our third contest this evening, we go to the bantamweight division. This fight brought to you by Battle Wounds Apparel. Make sure you visit the Battle Wounds Apparel vendor table here inside the Cross Insurance Center. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner to my right. He trains with Team First Class MMA. Ladies and gentlemen, Dylan Hendry. And his opponent, standing directly across the cage, fighting out of the red corner to my left. He trains with Team CMBJJ. Ladies and gentlemen, Nate Boucher.
Boucher weighed in yesterday at 135.6 pounds. Henry just a shade under 135 in the bantamweight ranks.
Boucher wearing the American red, white, and blue trunks, and his opponent Henry in the black and gold.
Gotta love those red, white, and blue patriotic trunks.
That's right, America.
Some cage work early on for both of these guys. Already a choke in. Well, at least it looked like it for a moment from our vantage point.
And I'll tell you what, Henry did a really good job of having double underhooks right there, and that was able to negate Boucher's offensive. What he's trying to do is get him to the ground, and he got it flipped and turned, and now he's in a position right now.
So blows rain down. Doesn't look like Henry's in a horrible position, but now the back has been given up. Now will we see another choke? Will he try to work on the arm? But he does have those legs cinched around, and now he's working for the choke.
We might have a third straight rear naked choke right now.
And this one seems like it would be the earliest, and that will be the case. Wow. Nate Boucher in impressive fashion with a third rear naked choke as he yells at this capacity crowd with another win, moving to 4-3. What an impressive win for a man who's looking for the title. I wonder if he might be calling out Justin Witham after this one.
Man, that was a mad scramble there. I mean, both guys are really going after it. They were using a lot of strength there in that first round, and I would have been interested to see if that rear naked choke didn't get in there, what would have happened if this fight would have kept going.
I know it's called NEF Sub-Zero, but it could have been NEF Rear Naked choke, because that's how the finish has gone for the first 3 of 11 bouts. Man, it's been a fun night so far, and if you love grappling and submissions, this has been your fight card. So we'll get the official announcement here from Pete Zimbor, crowning Nate Boucher the victor.
And the end comes at 59 seconds of round number 1. Your winner via submission due to a tap from a rear naked choke, Nate Boucher. Nate, a few words with you. A lot of fans in attendance here to see you. Very excited. It didn't take you a minute. Your thoughts?
I knew what I was going to do as soon as I came out. All the respect to Dylan and his team. I have a lot of respect for John Rayo, but he ain't getting in the way of my goals. I'm going to be the flyweight champ next fight.
Nate Boucher, ladies and gentlemen, looking for a title shot.
Nate Boucher wants that title shot, and I think he might be deserving of it the way he has looked, as he'll get his photos, and he'll remember Bangor. And by the way, I'm actually looking back here, took on Jeremiah Barkick last time in Bangor, and he picked up the win 2 years ago back on August 5th, 2017. So Bangor's been pretty kind to the man who fights out of CMBJJ.
No doubt about it, and that was a very impressive win.
So the aforementioned Glory Watson fight will be coming up here, and that one will be the next fight.
Table here inside the Cross Insurance Center. Make sure you say hi to Brian. If you saw 1993 WWF Survivor Series, he's the kid that Bret Hart gave his sunglasses to. YouTube it. There he is 25 years later. So visit the Battle Wounds apparel table and make sure you mention that factoid to him.
Pete Zimbor, a man after my own heart, knowing about the wrestling stuff. But this is our first female mixed martial arts fight of the card here tonight. And it is the extremely talented Glory Watson, who is undefeated, taking on Rachel Lippert, who not a lot of fighters or a lot of fight fans in this Maine area know much about, because she's not from this state of Maine. She's actually from Wisconsin.
Well, she's 4-2, and you know that there's not as many female fighters out there as there are men. So you know the female fighters that are in there in the game looking to fight. It's important what their records are. So that's very impressive. 4-2 as an amateur, and this could very well be her toughest test to date. Glory Watson is incredibly tough. Chris Young has just raved and raved about her, and we're going to see what happens here tonight. This is an exciting fight.
Lippert hails from Wisconsin, from Fearless Mixed Martial Arts, on a 2-fight winning streak. Of her 6 fights that she has had, 5 of them have gone the distance. She did lose 1. Guess why? A submission. Guess which submission, Ryan?
RNC, rear naked
yes,
choke?
Rear
Wow.
naked choke. It was in the
guess?
first back for Chosen Few FC in 2017 versus Hannah Singer. But she has beaten Amanda Byers and Katie Koenig. And the Byers fight was actually LFA. So if you're familiar with mixed martial arts promotions, you know LFA is definitely one of the premier ones throughout, at least in name recognition. So a big victory last time out back on the 7th of December. She'll be wearing the teal trunks with the gray and black and white top as she's getting ready, patrolling around this cage. She'll be definitely jeered compared to her opponent, and I imagine we will be hearing quite a bit of noise here in just a moment when the Bangor product, who also tends bar locally just down the street from this place, enters into the casino, or into the ballroom at the Cross Insurance Center.
And here she comes, Glory Watson, with Jimmy Jackson and Coach Chris Young in tow.
Yeah, flanked by people clad in Young's MMA apparel, much like, well, almost every fight, because they are dominating this 11-fight card. As we will see Glory Watson, if she can be unbeaten. And when we were talking with her last week as well at the Sea Dog on Front Street in Bangor, she had mentioned she wants to fight almost every month if possible, and she's already got at least 1 fight lined up.
That's right.
Coming up in March, and maybe even more. I think she wants to fight at every single NEF card, and maybe even any single one in the New England area as long as she stays healthy enough.
Yeah, she'll be taking on Alyssa Marini for Bill Vigil's promotion, Ammo Fight League down in Springfield, Massachusetts. That is St. Patrick's Day weekend, March the 17th, I believe. 16th, okay. But yeah, that'll be another interesting fight. Alyssa Marini, she's 2-0, so depending on what happens here, that could be two undefeated fighters going against one another. But we know Rachel Lippert has something to say about that.
Lippert looks pretty confident, even though it's been a long travel for her. But she looks calm as a cucumber and as cool as the weather outside.
I thought it was cool as a cucumber.
Well, cool,
calm.
Yeah,
you know, cucumbers are calm too. That's
I was about to say, have you ever seen a cucumber move? Glory will be wearing the black with the Young's MMA emblazoned on her shirt. Again, the teal shorts worn by Lippert. She'll be out of the blue corner, while Glory will be out of the red, as it should be an exciting scrap as we have the first of two women's amateur bouts on this Sub-Zero Cup.
Ladies and gentlemen, this next fight is scheduled for three-minute rounds in the 125-pound weight class. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner to my right. She comes to us all the way from Wisconsin. She trains with Fearless MMA. Ladies and gentlemen, a warm NEF in Maine State welcome for Rachel Lippert. And her opponent, standing directly across the cage, fighting out of the red corner to my left. She trains with Young's MMA right here in Bangor, Maine. Ladies and gentlemen, Glory Watson!
And as per expected, Glory Watson, definitely the fan favorite, though a respectful cheer, nonetheless, for Rachel Lippert, who seems pretty excited about that. 2 wins for Glory. Megan Rosado and Chelsea Tucker hoping to put Lippert as that third in the win column. What do you expect out of this fight, Ryan, at least from Glory Watson, who you've seen a few times out there?
Well, I know she's hungry, and again, Chris Young, head coach of Young's MMA, has said that, you know, amateur, it's all about growing. It's all about learning. You got to get in there, get as many minutes as possible. And in her last fight, a lot of people feel like she had her opponent hurt. She could have finished her in the first round, and that was a lesson learned for her. But, you know, it gave her 3 full rounds to go out there and compete. So, you know, much more cage time. It really helped her grow as a mixed martial artist. And, you know, here we are here tonight. 3rd fight of her career, and she's got a more experienced fighter in the cage with her.
This is also the most weight she's had to cut, and she weighed in at just over 125 pounds. The 2 fights prior, last time out, 140 and 130 in her debut fight versus Tucker. She has Lippert right now up against the cage here directly in front of us.
She was doing a good job landing a couple of right knees to the thigh of Lippert. I'll tell you what, those might not look like much, but after a few of them, it starts to soften you up, and she'll feel them the next day.
We talked about how game of an opponent Glory Watson is, delivering multiple left hands to the midsection of Lippert. She's trying to lock down that right arm. And a punch or two to the chin for good measure. Now she's hooked the leg, trying to take her down.
Glory's doing a good job of landing some dirty boxing here in this clinch. There's another left, 2, 3, 4, bang. She's doing a really good job of landing those close counters.
And the problem for Lippert, who's now trying to get her back to the cage, she was taking those and she really couldn't do much about it. Because the positioning of Glory was able to really take advantage and land those heavy punches. It's the first warning here on Glory not to grab the fence. Another good, strong midsection punch from Watson.
You got to imagine this, too, has got to be draining the energy of both fighters here. Cage work. You know, we talk to my good buddy Ricky Dexter all the time about how much Young's MMA, they drill that time and time again. And that's one of the things that, you know, separates them as one of the better gyms here in the region. You know, and here we are. We're seeing these two combatants in the cage working on the cage. And Glory Watson is getting the better of it so far, landing these close knees and shots. And, you know, their dirty boxing is looking good so far for the Young's MMA product.
We talked about it before. Lippert has gone the distance in 5 out of her 6 fights. She now is answering back with some heavy knees of her own. Glory has gone the distance her last time back in November, but also finished it at the 244 mark in the first round versus Tucker. You have to imagine those knees that are hitting the thighs and midsection of Lippert are definitely going to add up as this fight goes forward.
Yeah, Glory's doing a really good job of keeping the pressure, and because of that, I think you really have to say that's a definitive round one for Miss Watson.
Lippert did a good job taking the blows and not really making it affect her as she was able to last the 3 rounds, but you did bring up the point. Cage was dominated for the most part by Glory Watson and really didn't let Lippert get much outside a couple of knees in.
Right, I mean, she was on the offensive the whole time. You know, there was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. She was the one controlling the pace. She was the one that had Lippert pressed up against the cage. She was the one throwing the punches. You know, Lippert was just trying to survive and get out of that position. And, you know, she spent the better part of that whole round in that same spot.
So both fighters getting their respective talking throughs. Fearless MMA in the blue corner, Young's MMA in the red. Glory Watson 2-0, getting the talking to by Coach Chris Young and company.
We'll see what the in-fight adjustments each corner wanted to implement here in round 2.
Cage is all set, the fighters are all set, and we're underway for round 2.
Glory opens up with a nice front kick right there.
Now, if you're in Lippert's corner, what are you trying to tell your fighter to make things a little bit more even in terms of the judges' scorecards after losing likely the first round?
Oh, she's got to go out there and she's got to set the pace here in round 2. She clearly lost round 1, and it seemed to me that being up against the cage, Glory looked like the stronger of the two. So, you know, I would imagine that we're going to have to see Lippert's stand-up skills, and maybe she's going to try and catch Glory here.
Well, fighters trying to find themselves here in this round number 2. You wonder when, though, Glory might go in for that takedown, much like she did in the early parts of round 1. Though connects with a strong right.
Yeah, that was a big overhand right. You know that Rachel felt that. And both ladies are looking very relaxed in there tonight. For amateurs so early in their career, they both look very calm.
You say early in their career, but I think they almost look like seasoned vets, especially with the 6 fights for Lippert and the 2, but the training partners that Glory has on both the male and female side, she's been having battles every night.
No doubt about it. I mean, there's a big female team there, and then she goes with the guys on a regular basis. Coach Chris Young has said time and time again that she's the most active fighter, male or female, in the gym. She lives in the gym. She's there all the time, so you know that she's getting the work in.
Seeing a little redness on the leg of Glory Watson now from some of the kicks from Lippert. Doesn't seem to be affecting her as they're trading blows back and forth between Watson and Lippert.
Glory just landed a nice right kick to the thigh. And again, she's going to feel those tomorrow. And come the third round, if she keeps landing those are going to add up. It's going to really, you know, hinder her mobility. It's going to hinder the way that she's going to be able to move and strike. And it's just going to aid Glory and maybe help in getting her this W.
Also, even just the stances, sometimes you're going to have to take that lead foot back, that lead leg. It looks like Lippert putting a little bit of weight onto it, but not maybe as much as she had prior. And again, chopping down that left leg is Glory Watson. This has been a back and forth trading of punches and kicks for these two fighters in the second round.
Glory's looking to double jab and come over with that big right afterwards. She's landed a couple of them right now, and to me, it seems like she's looking to land a knockout punch.
She goes in. Now the takedown, and Lippert gets it.
That was great timing by Lippert right there. She really timed that perfectly. And Glory right now working from her back. Look at that flexibility. My goodness.
She's still got that left arm, but will there be enough time? Again, Lippert posturing enough to not give up that arm. As it looks like time will come off the clock here in round number 2 as Lippert's able to survive. And Watson, though, she did get taken down, actually got the better of that exchange, and had it gone another 30 seconds, we might have seen our 4th submission of the night.
Potentially. I'll tell you what, I'm looking at Glory Watson right now. She looks very loose. She's over there doing a little dance in between rounds right now. You know she's feeling herself. She's up 2-0. She's just got to stick to the game plan. I really can't see Rachel winning this fight if the third round goes like the first 2.
As we're getting ready for round 3, we might actually see a decision for once. First 3 fights have been by rear naked choke. We still have some great contests left to go from this ballroom at the Cross Insurance Center in Bangor, Maine. By the way, coming up, we got another New England Fights card back down in Aura that we'll talk about a little bit later on, and I think we're actually going to hear from one of the combatants in that one. But NEF excited to be back down in Portland, and I know a lot of fans are as well.
No doubt about it.
The cage is locked behind him. It's the coach's exit. And Watson now ready with a smile on her face. Mutual show of respect with the dap, the glove tap. And we're back, and a little bit of a mirror of how round 2 went in the early parts.
Oh, Glory landed another big right shot, right hook right there. That time to the temple of her opponent, Lippert. And there goes with another leg kick. And every time I see leg kicks like that, all I can think of is Jose Aldo and Uriah Faber back in the day.
You're just hoping you don't see an Anderson Silva type situation for all those in attendance.
Good Lord, and I can't even think about that. I still have nightmares when I think about that.
But again, it's something that's so easy and you just don't think about it. But you're definitely seeing the redding on the thigh of the left leg of Lippert. And I can't imagine that feels good, especially in between rounds. Though Lippert trading lefts and rights, and Watson finally tying her up.
Yeah, I mean, that was a good job by Lippert right there. She landed a couple of shots, and I think Glory was like, you know what, I don't want to eat these anymore. I'm going to tie her up. Right now she's working against the cage, and Lippert's right now trying to score some points.
We knew this is going to be quite the battle, and it really has been. In terms of seasoned amateur, almost a veteran in the amateur ranks. It's a sprawl out here, and now looks like the submission. We'll see how deep it is in for Glory Watson. Will she get her second ever submission? And she does. Glory Watson moves to 3-0 on her amateur career. As what a good battle and bout between these two phenomenal amateur fighters. Lippert a little disappointed, but there's no need. She looked incredibly good at times, but Glory Watson, the hometown hero, picks up the W, and Young's MMA just racking in the wins as well.
And she stays undefeated, which you know she wanted, which sets up a big matchup a couple months from now.
So another win for Glory Watson. We'll make it official here in a moment with Pete Zimbor with the Bangor product.
Ladies and gentlemen, the end comes at 1 minute and 17 seconds of the third and final round. Your winner via tap out due to a guillotine, Glory Watson.
So Glory Watson gets the W, and definitely deserving. She does get into the third round, but when all is said and done, we get another one. So this is the first time we didn't get a rear naked choke, though.
Yeah, I mean, we got to have a little variety here in the evening.
Maybe we'll get an armbar. We've had a lot of choke so far in this great NEF Sub-Zero card, number 37.
Well, I want to see a knockout, and I think that might be what we're going to see this next fight. The big boys will be coming down, the heavyweights, Roger Youwer, Bryce Bamford. This is one that I cannot wait for. I know Roger personally. I've seen him in Young's MMA putting the work in. And from everything I've heard about Bryce Bamford from a good close friend of mine, Nick Gully, this is a scary man. This is a very scary man. So this is a matchup you do not want to miss.
It's been not a battle, but it's been a good rivalry between First Class and Young's MMA over the years. And we're going to see another installment, another chapter here tonight. As you did allude to, the big boys, the heavyweights, are going to be on display, and this is the highest poundage that you're going to see. The only heavyweight fight, I think the next highest is actually C.J. Ewer's fight, which is going to be fought at a catchweight 180. So not a ton of high poundage fights, but this is definitely one of them here. And if any indication from the last heavyweight fight that we saw, or at least cruiserweight, that was pretty impressive.
Oh, my goodness. You're talking, of course, about Jorgen De Castro and Ross Hilton. And that ended emphatically right in front of us down in Portland.
I'm just glad to see Raz doing all right, as we saw him earlier, and he seemed to be no worse for wear. He's ready to get back into the cage here very soon. But we see First Class MMA, and speaking of Hilton, he's going to be in the corner of big Bryce Bamford.
Yeah, Ross is a small man. Very tiny.
I was about to say, I looked up at him. It was like looking up into a huge redwood tree, basically.
Well, he looks like an NBA player. You know, just looking at him from this, he looks like a center for maybe the Maine Red Claws or something.
But Bryce Bamford, even though this is going to be just his third fight inside this NEF cage, he's a game opponent as Hilton throws up the T-shirt behind. And we're getting everything ready to go. Our first heavyweight and only heavyweight fight of the night. John Rayo getting in position along with the rest of the corner. Bamford patrols this hexagon of a cage at New England Fights. And I know a lot of people, last time I saw Roger Youwer fight here, the crowd was ravenous for him. And I imagine more of the same when he comes out and finally enters that entryway.
Well, here he comes, and the hometown guy, Roger Youwer of Young's MMA. You know, this means a lot to him. You know, both him and his brother fighting on the same card, fighting in their hometown. You know, this is something that they'll look back, you know, 10 years from now. I mean, this is special memories for their family. But, you know, first things first, he wants to go out there and get a W, and he's got a tough test in front of him in Bryce Bamford.
Roger Youwer and CJ Youwer, the brothers Youwer, did fight one time prior back on the 5th of August 2017, and they're hoping to get a double dose of a win here tonight as well in Bangor. Bryce Bamford has 2 victories on his career, both by TKO, and by the way, you were also with a TKO, so I think your knockout may be coming to fruition, at least from your prognostication.
And also, Bryce Bamford, if I recall, I believe he's a black belt on the ground.
Oh.
You know, Nick Gully, who, you know, all you NEF fans know, former amateur heavyweight champion, trains at First Class MMA. He's one of Bryce Bamford's top teammates. He's one of the only guys big enough to go with him. As you see Gully in the background screaming his head off right now. He said Bryce Bamford is the strongest man he's ever latched onto. I mean, that's saying a lot right there because Gully is a monster of a man. So Roger Youwer, they're both about the same age, similar build. This is going to be really interesting. You don't want to make a mistake with guys with this much power because they can turn your lights out in an instant.
And again, this will be under the auspices of the heavyweight ranks, though quite the discrepancy in terms of the sheer amount of weight these two fighters weighed in yesterday. We'll talk about that in a moment.
Ladies and gentlemen, this fight is brought to you by the Ramada of Bangor, Maine, and is scheduled for 3 3-minute rounds in the heavyweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner to my right. He comes to us from Team First Class MMA. Ladies and gentlemen, Bryce Bamford! And his opponent standing directly across the cage, fighting out of the red corner to my left. He trains with Young's MMA right here in Bangor, Maine. Ladies and gentlemen, Roger Youwer. 3 rounds, heavyweights.
As we alluded to, this is a heavyweight bout. The Roger Youwer, the much heavier of the fighter, he weighed in yesterday at the Sea Dog Brewing Company on Front Street at 256. Bamford has weighed in at 227 and 237 before, but a sleeker 215 yesterday.
Right now, Bamford is just teeing off on Roger. He landed some big shots. Roger's doing a good job of trying to stay in this fight right now as he pushes Bamford back up against the cage and tries to land a knee. Oh, Bamford just teeing off right now.
Oh, the body blows really becoming apparent. Now he's unloading on the head of Youwer. The most vocal the crowd has been all night, as Bamford just hoping he doesn't have to gas himself out because he's exuded a lot of energy with these fisticuffs.
And Roger right now is bleeding. I believe he got caught on the nose by one of those punches. But he's doing a good job. I mean, look, what a tough chin to take all of those shots and stay in this fight. And you know that's got to tire Bamford out. Right now they're clinching in the middle of the cage, and Bamford's landing some knees. But what a start, and Roger's down. The fight is over. Bryce Bamford with a round 1 KO.
That is a bad man in front of us. 3-0. Bryce Bamford out of First Class MMA knocks out Roger Youwer in the first round, dominating basically from the belt. Nick Gully just ran in here behind you, and I think he echoed those sentiments of how bad of a man that Bamford is. But what a big resounding win, and we've had our first finish that hasn't been a submission, but it has been quite a few finishes in tonight's affair. But let's get the official announcement here in just a moment from Pete Zimbor, as it has been a great night of fights from the ballroom at the Cross Insurance Center. So for the first time tonight, Young's MMA actually suffers defeat, but no shame in that one. Bryce Bamford just dominating that performance. And he's still talking to Pete.
Ladies and gentlemen, the end comes at 55 seconds of round number 1. Your winner, via knockout, Bryce Bamford! Let's grab a word with Bryce Bamford, who is currently on the receiving end of multiple hugs. That took longer than the fight, Bryce. 55 seconds, big knockout win. How do you feel? You've got plenty of fans in attendance here tonight in Bangor.
I feel good. I feel good. I appreciate him fighting. He was a decent guy and everything when I met him. And I feel good.
Looks like you set him up with a lot of body shots. You had seen off him for quite some time until the end came suddenly. What was it that ultimately finished the fight for you?
The plan was, I knew he was going to be way bigger. And I trained my cardio so I could go all night long. And figured if I hit him in the body, he'd run out of gas way sooner than me.
Bryce Bamford, everyone, victorious tonight here at NEF Sub-Zero.
I know Bryce doesn't have a nickname yet, but he reminds me of a former wrestler, the late great Bam Bam Bigelow.
I knew you were going to say that.
I was going to say, I wouldn't mind a Bryce Bam Bam Bamford, because he had definitely packed the punch. And can you imagine with Hilton, Bamford, and also Nick Gulliver?
I know, those are three monsters. Can you imagine being in there training with those guys?
If you're a heavyweight and you want to get the best of the best, that might be the place to go to, First Class MMA. Well, we still have some great fights still yet to come. Coming up in the amateur ranks, we'll have Brady McDonald fighting out of Peak 2 County Jiu-Jitsu against Jake Bagley, Katie Denning and Amanda Bennett, Taylor Bartlett and Devin Corson. And then we have 2 championship matchups, one including an amateur featherweight battle between Fred Lear and Zach Richard. CJ Youwer and Mark Gardner will kick off the professional part of the card. And then finally, the main event will be Josh Harvey taking on Bill Jones. We got a good one coming up. It's going to be Brady McDonald, and it is Jake Bagley at 130 pounds in this catchweight bout. Both guys weighing in at a cool, even 129 pounds.
Jake Bagley making his amateur debut, and Brady McDonald 1-1 fighting out of Canada. His last fight was a round 1 guillotine choke victory over Greg Waterbury. That was at NAF 34 on June 16th of 2018.
No stranger to the NEF cage, even though he hails from New Brunswick, Canada, which isn't too bad of a trip coming down here. Just going to go through customs.
It's not bad at all. A lot of people from the southern part of the country probably think that's Maine.
You hear that a lot, Maine and Canada being synonymous. Still part of the United States, but in the victory, a guillotine submission win 15 seconds into the contest at NEF 34 back this last June. So we could see another quick one, so don't blink when this one gets underway. Bagley hailing from New Hampshire. I believe the first fighter out actually will be Bagley. And again, we talk about the nerves. For Dylan Henry, it didn't really work out too well for him making his first foray into the cage. We'll see how Bagley does in comparison. Seems pretty loose, and also to see, always great to see, former lightweight champion of the New England Fights promotion and current UFC fighter Devin Powell in your corner. It's always going to be a calming factor, right?
Oh, no doubt about it. When you got someone that experienced that's done it at the highest of levels, that's got to give you a lot of confidence stepping into the cage.
So Bagley out of New Hampshire will be taking on the Canadian, who now makes his trek towards the red corner for this matchup. Again, this will be fought at a catch weight of 130 pounds. The one loss that McDonald had was also a first-round submission. It was a triangle that he lost 90 seconds into the fight for Elite One Mixed Martial Arts. Hoping to be unblemished again for this New England Fights promotion.
I'm liking his music choice. This is kind of an upbeat song, old school.
Yeah, I really can't complain about any of the walk-up music for all the fighters here today. But we do want to thank you for watching this NEF 37 fight stream on YouTube, and thank you for making us part of your Friday night. I know it was a packed house. They sold out earlier in the week, and we're just very fortunate to be able to provide you some coverage of this great event here from New England Fights, because this has been a dandy of a card so far.
No doubt about it. We've got a lot left to look forward to, including our co-main and main event, a couple of pro fights, CJ Youwer and Mark Gardner in the co-main, and then you got Josh Harvey and Bill Jones in the main event of the night.
Ladies and gentlemen, our sixth bout of the evening is a catchweight contest at 130 pounds, scheduled for 3 3-minute rounds, brought to you by the Sea Dog Brewing Company. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner to my right, he trains with Nostos MMA. Ladies and gentlemen, Jake Bagley. And his opponent standing directly across the cage, fighting out of the red corner to my left. He trains with Peektown County Jiu-Jitsu. Ladies and gentlemen, Brady McDonald.
And here we go, getting ready for our sixth bout of the night. Brady McDonald and Jake Bagley, 130-pound fight.
Imagine some fast and furious, frenetic pace, and that's exactly the case here between these two. Look at McDonald just throwing punches, though not getting a lot of connections as we're now sprawling down to the mat.
Bagley did a really good job of closing distance, and he's going for a ride right now. McDonald might have the back as he's looking to get a hook in.
Got the hooks in, but oh, what just a back plant on that. So it looked like Bagley was just trying to break the pressure, trying to break the hold, but that looks like it might be in pretty deep onto the neck and pretty strongly put on for maybe yet another choke, but now he breaks it up.
Big punch by McDonald on the top as he has his hooks in, and he is not letting go of this rear naked choke. He wants to finish this in the first round.
Do you think Bagley might go for another back bump here, trying to break the pressure, trying to loosen on the neck?
I think he's got to be a little bit more tired at this point. Right now, he's just trying to survive. I mean, that'd take a lot of energy out of him that first time around, and now you got McDonald on his back. He's got the triangle in there. As you can see, his right leg is connected foot is connected under his left leg, and he's really softening up and wearing down his opponent Gardner right now.
I was about to say, even if Bagley does survive this, he's going to be extremely exhausted. I don't care how much conditioning. When you're holding 130-pound, maybe 150 by this point, pound man on your back, that's got to be draining.
Great job by Bagley right now, controlling McDonald's left wrist. That is stopping the submission attempt right there for McDonald, and it's allowing him a chance to get his breath right now. But that triangle that he has on his midsection isn't going anywhere, and then there you go. Right as I say it, Bagley breaks it. Now he's landing shots from the top.
But though the heel might be hooked, so it looks like McDonald's trying to get that submission. I don't think we've seen that in a long time in a New England Fights cage.
McDonald is really, really wrenching on that. But Bagley does a good job of getting out, and he's landing a couple of shots from the top right now. Big shot from the top, and Bagley comes over with another right.
I think he hurt McDonald, too. Another one, a strong one, the left and the right, the combo. But what a duck out of that as the crowd's starting to really feel it.
These guys are going for it right now, just throwing haymakers.
This might be as much punching power and prowess that we saw in the heavyweight scrap just before this one.
Oh! A big shot by Bagley.
Another uppercut. McDonald looks hurt, but he's still eating it.
He's busted up right now, and he's lost his mouthpiece. Another big shot. McDonald is getting teed off on right now against the cage.
I know this is a debut for Bagley, but he looks like a seasoned vet in there.
10 seconds left in the first round. Will we see a second? McDonald covering up, and Bagley is just going for it.
And the official getting in there wisely to break it up as the bell sounds, as finally they'll be able to scoop up the mouth guard. But what a 3 minutes, or at least in particular, last 2 minutes between these two fighters in Bagley and McDonald.
Smokes. You see the mouse under McDonald's right eye. That is going to be bad tomorrow morning, and he's got a busted up nose. Bagley did a great job of landing some big shots after losing that first part of that first round. He came back and stole that round.
What is it about Canadians with the last name McDonald being able to take so much abuse?
Hey, tell me about it. Shout out to Rory McDonald, Bellator welterweight champ.
I can see some similarities in also taking a beating and keep on ticking. Wow, what a good little bit of time there, back and forth. If you're scoring that, Ryan, though, who do you give that first round, those first 3 minutes?
I got Bagley winning that based on the damage, what he did towards the end of that first round. I got to give it to him.
Well, we'll see. This is going to be a big, crucial round. We'll see if both fighters can actually survive, because I'm not quite confident that after what we saw in the first 3 minutes that we're going to be able to see more than the same. Actually, they got to stop the fight. I think they're going to stop. They're trying to yell at the official. I'm not sure if everything's ready yet. So we'll have to reset everything. So I don't think the cage had been properly locked yet.
No pin. There wasn't a pin to lock the cage.
Which would have been extremely dangerous had they gone careening into that far blue corner. I think the pin just fell underneath the cage. They've now corralled it and they're fixing it, and we'll be able to get things back underway. And thankfully, that was picked up before anything bad could have happened.
Could you imagine if there was no pin for the Bamford Youwer fight?
Oh my goodness. They would have gone
ugly.
Would have gone in the first, second, third, fifth rows.
McDonald landed a nice uppercut right there, but Bagley just comes back. He's just trying to bully him right now and land these big overhand rights.
Look at the facial expressions on Bagley, too. He just looks like he's so happy every time he lands a left or a right to the grill.
Oh, he's loving life in there right now. This is what he came to do. He wanted to put on a show, and he's doing a great job for the fans here at the Cross Insurance Center.
Both guys looking pretty good, at least in terms of conditioning. But maybe Bagley the fresher of the two fighters, even though he did have to have McDonald on his back for a good minute or so. Maybe we'll see this one back on the ground like it was in the early parts. Again, the cheese grater-like fence doing a number on the back of McDonald's. You're seeing a lot of red there as he comes off the cage.
Oh, nice. That was a double jab cross. Right now, McDonald is just looking really good on the feet. And here comes Bagley like a bull right over the top.
Takes a licking, but keeps on ticking as he hits a nice combination of his own. More cage work by these two combatants.
McDonald's, his coaches right now in his corner are telling him to spin and get out of this, obviously. Back up against the cage is not where he wants to be. What he wants to do right now is get underhooks if he can and break out of this. But right now, Bagley's doing a great job of keeping the pressure on. And that mouse is starting to swell up even more as Bagley is landing shots right to the head.
And that's going to be worrisome, though, if you're in McDonald's corner, that you don't want to take any more shots to that one and get it to the point where it's a doctor stoppage. But it doesn't look like it's impeding his vision. Well, actually, now they get a closer look. That does look pretty bad.
It's not good.
Again, another left and a right to the chin of McDonald. Bagley, again aggressive, rattles his head off the cage.
Man, you got to say something for McDonald's chin. That kid is taking some shots here tonight.
Eats another right hook. I've been impressed with Bagley, even though this is his first amateur fight. He has taken on a very game opponent in McDonald. Oh, rocked him again with another left and another straight.
McDonald is hurt right now, but he keeps throwing, and Bagley just keeps the pressure on.
No sort of defense, though, from Bagley. He's not keeping his mitts up as opposed to just throwing the haymakers, and he almost eats a knee flush.
Oh, nice shot right now as McDonald has just taken 3 or 4 shots right to the chin, and he is hanging in this fight with 10 seconds left in the second round.
This has the makings of potentially being a fight of the night.
It's got my vote right now. This has been awesome.
So we will go into the third round, but I guess I have to imagine that there is a lot of mutual respect for these two fighters, the way they've been able to dish on their opponents. But you have to imagine Bagley, with his burst and fury in that tail end of the second round, probably on top at this moment.
Yeah, I got Bagley winning actually both rounds right now, although, the first round, again, McDonald was doing a great job.
Yep.
He was sticking to his game plan. He was coming out to really fight and put on a great show, but I think one of those shots really kind of softened him up, and I think it got into his head a little bit, because from there on out, Bagley has he's been the bull here. He's been coming forward. He's been the one looking to push the pace and land the big shots.
Well, we will have a third and final round, and if any fight was going to go to a decision, this wouldn't be the worst one, because both guys deserve to get the decision read. Both guys actually have looked good enough to win this fight at certain times. Pete Zimbor announcing that this is the third and final round between the New Hampshire native and the man hailing from New Brunswick, putting on a show for the Bangorians.
Wow, what a looping right hand that was. If that would have landed, that could have been bad. But McDonald laughs it off, and it comes forward with a couple of shots of his own.
I was about to say, a little sloppy on the punches here entering the third for Bagley. More precision from McDonald.
Well, these guys have got to be tired right now. I mean, this has been a fast-paced fight these first 2 rounds.
And I was remarking earlier that they seem pretty well conditioned entering the second round. Not as much in this third. Again, both eyes starting to swell for McDonald. He's still throwing hands and trying to defend his back on the cage.
The crowd seems restless right now. After the high-paced first 2 rounds, they want this again, and here we go! Bagley and McDonald going for it!
Again, the smile on Bagley's face as he eats a left and a right, but dishes out a couple of his own. Now back to the cage. It almost sounds like they just need a little bit of time to catch their breath before they throw haymakers again at one another.
Tell me about it. This has been great. They're going to be both feeling it tomorrow.
And hopefully after this fight, both have the respect and maybe build a friendship after punching each other in the grill for time and time again.
That's usually what happens.
Back on the far side of the cage. Again, Bagley pushing his opponent McDonald on that grater-like fence.
How did you score the first 2 rounds, Brian? Do you have it 2-0 Bagley?
It might have been 1-1. I think Bagley would still have it close. McDonald did a great job. Probably Bagley is the winner at this point.
Oh, and here we go. A submission attempt for McDonald. This is on the other side of the cage. Bagley does a good job of fighting out of that, but he still has the arm as Bagley's posturing up, and good job of getting out of that. That was actually fairly easy for Bagley.
And that's one of those ones in the first that might have been a better submission attempt, but with the slickness of the perspiration, it's very hard to get that armbar in.
Yeah, they're dog-tired right now. You know it.
Tired, and they're like eels in there, I imagine.
You got the sweat, and then you got the blood coming from both of them. It's going to be tough to try and hold on to a position with everything that's going on in there right now. But both of these guys, they're still looking for a finish as Bagley is trying to get out of another submission as McDonald had a hold of his leg. And he turns around. Now he's on top. Not quite in full mount. He needs to get that right leg out.
How dangerous is McDonald, though? Just when you think you're going to get back onto your feet, maybe trade some blows, he grabs that ankle, grabs that heel, and almost tries to submit you, or almost gets it, too.
Well, 5 seconds left in the fight. McDonald's landing shots from the bottom, and there it is. We go the distance. Wow, what a fight. Brady McDonald, Jake Bagley. Tell you what, Jake Bagley for his debut fight put up a unbelievable performance, opened up an awful lot of eyes coming out of Nostos MMA. Got to talk to Devin Powell about this kid. He's got a bright future.
I imagine that Jake probably picked up the win, but it's going to be close. Who knows how the judges have scored it? That's why they always say never leave it in the hands of the judges. I imagine the product out of New England, likely the victor, but we will get the official judges' decision here in just a moment. No shame in either of these men's game, however, after that performance. And by the way, Bill Jones, he's got a fight later on. He's already in the corner. He's cheering on his man, Jake Bagley. Still wearing his, his work boots and jeans, too. Well, we'll get the official verdict in a moment. Pete Zimbor is getting the official judge's decision here just directly to our left. I think Ryan's trying to eavesdrop. Did you get anything on that?
No, actually I didn't.
Well, we will see who is the victor. Again, I think the fans are the winner more so than anyone else here in this one. Well, Pete has the decision. We will get the announcement here in just a moment on who has won this really enticing catchweight bout.
Ladies and gentlemen, how about a round of applause for both these combatants going 3 hard-fought rounds here tonight in Bangor, Maine. We go to the judges' scorecards, and all 3 judges are in agreement. They score this fight 30-27 for your winner, Jake Bagley. Jake, if you get a quick word with you, our first fight to go the distance tonight. You took some shots, you landed some shots. Your thoughts on how that went down?
Oh, I loved every second of it. Been a long time, and I'm glad to be back.
There's blood all over your nose, your face, the top of your head. You won by wide margins on the scorecards, but that reflected just how brutal that was inside the cage.
Like I said, I loved every second of it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jake Bagley. Folks, we're going to have a brief 10-minute intermission. Head on to the concession stands. Visit the Battle Wounds apparel table here inside the venue. Pick up a t-shirt or 2. We'll be back with more action in 10 minutes.
Well, with that, we will step aside as well, but still to come. Taylor Bartlett of CMBJJ takes on the Outlets, Devin Corson. We also have the featherweight championship between Fred Lear and Zach Richard. Then the pro fight, CJ Youwer and Mark Gardner. And how about the main event still yet to come here on YouTube between Josh Harvey and Bill Jones? All that still to come as NEF rolls on. We'll be back with all that and more here in just a few more moments.
watching the corner.
I'm looking for the next cruiserweight contender. After the last one, I'm really hungry to get back in there and fight like I'm supposed to. This wasn't my best performance. As usual, it's never going to go to a decision with me, but I'm looking to make sure that we got a healthier set of competitors moving forward. We got a nice break between the light heavies and the heavies, and we always bring you guys a good show. After all, if we see a knockout, everybody wins, right?
You alluded to your most recent performance. I know he won't be your opponent on April 27th, but let's say Jorgen De Castro is watching right now, NEF Cruiserweight Champion. Do you have any words to him that you'd like to say?
Absolutely. Good man, good opponent. It was good to meet you again, and I'm looking forward to make sure I can come back and take what will be rightfully mine in just a few months after this one. Pay attention on the 27th.
Rasquatch, the Jamaican Shamrock, ladies and gentlemen, in action April 27th at Aura Nightclub. More information at newenglandfights.com, auranightclub.com for tickets.
A very fun one, and again, crazy Katie Denning is a crowd favorite for sure. And again, another debuting fighter in Amanda Bennett, so we'll see what the nerves are like. But if it's anything like the other teammates of hers at First Class MMA, you can imagine she's been prepped and ready to go for this matchup.
No doubt about it. And again, John Rao in her corner. And, you know, again, First Class MMA, one of the best gyms in the state in New England. And although she may be a debuting fighter, you know that she's been doing this for a while, and she's been training, ready for her moment to shine. And here it is tonight in Bangor against a game opponent and Katie Denning.
And John Rayo's not going to throw just anybody into the cage, so you know Amanda Bennett is definitely game ready for this matchup. Though crazy Katie Denning does have 2 fights underneath her belt. She won back in February as well versus Chelsea Tucker 2018, though lost her for the first time back at the Aura Nightclub on the 17th of November. But as we see right now, Bennett going through the last second preps, getting everything ready, making sure her nails are trimmed, and she's good to go. She now enters inside the cage. And she looks pretty loose, all things considered, out there wearing the black with a little bit of pink trim.
And here comes Katie Denning of Young's MMA. Katie has been doing this for a while. This will be her third amateur fight now. I've been training for a while. You know, one of the things that I really love about Katie is that she has been donating the proceeds here to the Humane Society to help. You know, I mean, who doesn't want to see dogs and cats and animals get adopted and taken care of and have good homes? And you know, it's a big passion of hers, and I really commend her for that. It's really an amazing thing that she's doing and putting some light on.
By the way, we've seen a lot of different things at weigh-ins over the years, a lot of emaciation, a lot of people just miserable. But have you ever seen someone wearing like a unicorn costume on the scale like Katie did yesterday?
No, hey, she's looking to be a little different, and she's crazy Katie Denning. That's what she does.
And she didn't have to cut much weight. I think she was walking around at 145 all week, all month leading up to the fight, and she was actually eating a donut or like a croissant or something or other in the morning, and didn't even take off the unicorn guard because she knew she had already made weight and did clock in at 145.2 pounds.
Oh, did you see the pictures that she recently took where she broke out of the mental institute in Bucksport? There was a video that was done. It was awesome. It was very well done. And the makeup, head to toe, I mean, she really looked the part, and it almost looks like she was like a vampire, like she sucked the blood of like the guard that was at the institution to break out of there. It was just hysterical. Very well done, very clever.
And in her corner, Angela Young, the wife and former fighter from Young's MMA, the wife of Chris Young, of course, and a little skirt as well being worn for the first time from crazy Katie Denning. We'll see how it all plays out as we get the official introductions from Pete Zimbor at the center of the cage in just a moment as we break back from the intermission with one of the most anticipated bouts of this NEF 37 card.
Ladies and gentlemen, this next fight is brought to you by the Ramada of Bangor, Maine, the official hotel of New England fights each and every time. NEF is right here in Bangor, Maine. Make sure you get your room at the Ramada. This fight is scheduled for 3 3-minute rounds in the featherweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner to my right. She trains with First Class MMA. Ladies and gentlemen, Amanda Bennett. And standing directly across the cage, fighting out of the red corner to my left. She trains with Young's MMA right here in Bangor, Maine. Ladies and gentlemen, Katie Denning.
Crazy Katie with a scowl on her face. She is excited, I'm sure, to scrap, but she is all business.
Yeah, very intense look from Katie Denning.
Bell sounds, not even a touch of mitts. Not that Katie was embarrassed by her loss because she was going against a very tough opponent in Taylor Thompson last time out, but definitely wants to get back into the win column as well.
That was a nice kick there landed by Katie as she comes forward, landing an overhand right there as Bennett is just keeping the pressure on, looking to maybe get the clinch and get this to the ground.
In her all but short career, Katie has never got a finish or been finished. Both of her fights have gone the full 3 rounds. We'll see if that is the case here today. Back and forth, though. Denning landing some good lefts and rights flush. The action right in front of us here, cage side. Trying to get some space, but relentless is Amanda Bennett. Now pressuring Katie Denning with her back on the cage. She's trying to switch positions. And a beautiful uppercut.
Very nice by Katie Denning.
And again, the pressure being put on by Bennett. When that space does occur, though, you see the very strong hands of Denning.
I think Bennett has felt that, and she's really doing a good job right now of keeping this fight close. Maybe doesn't want it to be a stand-up fight, but she's really keeping the pressure on Denning right here in front of us. Be interesting to see if she can go for a trip, maybe get this to the ground.
It might be the best case scenario for Bennett as it breaks, and then immediately you see the hands thrown from Denning. And again, more pressure getting back to the cage with Denning on her back, right around that stanchion in front of us. And another uppercut from Denning. When there's just a little bit of space out there, you see how prolific her punches are.
Nice 1-2 there by Denning as Bennett looks to keep the pressure on. Both ladies look to be breathing a little heavy right now. It's this clinch work on the cage in the first round. That's pretty tiring. Showing it on their face a little bit.
Not much time left in this first round. It's been a good back and forth. Denning has landed the better of the power punches. But Bennett has dominated a lot of the time against the cage. Not really impactful time. Again, you just see a little bit of space, then Denning unleashes a good contingent of first-class MMA fans behind us.
No doubt about it. They're very loud tonight as Bennett keeps Denning up against the cage here to close out the first round. Really interesting one to score, Brian. How do you see it?
That's a tough one. I think the punches by Denning likely gives her that first 3 minutes. But I've been impressed in the first 3 that Bennett has faced in an amateur bout. She looked decent out there at least. And again, that's good training from Coach Rayal and company. What's your assessment on the first round, Ryan?
Again, very, very close. You got a coin, maybe we can flip it. It just depends on, what the judges are looking for. You're looking for who's pushing the pace or who landed the bigger shots. I mean, all in all, it was a pretty close first round. There wasn't huge shots landed on either side. You'd say Denning probably landed the biggest shot with that uppercut. But all in all, very close fight. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens here in the second round.
Interested to see how tired the fighters are. Bennett breathing a little heavier than Denning at the moment, at least looking in the respective corners. Again, Bennett wearing the black with a pink trim. The Young's MMA emblazoned on the shirt of Katie Denning, also wearing black with the skirt.
Here we go, round 2. Denning and Bennett. Bennett comes out looking to throw a kick, and Denning lands a couple of shots, but Bennett has it right back up against the cage in front of us, which is much of what we saw in round 1.
And that's got to be the game plan for John Rayo and the first-class team, is trying to limit the opportunities to have an impactful punch land from Bennett.
As you say it, Denning does it. She lands an uppercut, but Bennett ate it like a champ and just stays right here on her. And I really feel like this has to be the game plan, is to keep it in the clinch, to keep it close, to negate Denning striking. So far, she's been able to do a fairly decent job, but Denning's landed some shots moving backwards, as now they're on the other side of the cage. Bennett lands a knee, and there you go. Denning grabs it, and maybe see if she can get this to the ground here. Bennett's doing a really good job of using that cage to keep her up.
And what it really could come down to is how the judges see fights and how they might see it differently. Is it the more impactful punches of Denning, or is it the more of the control that Bennett had from the first round and into the early parts of the second round? Though now the roles have reversed, and Denning, at least for the moment, had the positioning. Every judge, just like every other person, has a different opinions on things and how the fights are scored. So it really just comes down to how they see from their angle of the cage.
And what does Dana White always say? Never leave it in the hands of the judges.
But there's a chance. The official almost gets decked by a punch from Denning.
Steve Reed almost took a shot to the temple there. Jumped out of the way, and here we are again with Denning pressed up against the cage. As Bennett lands a left knee, keeping the pressure on the Young's MMA product.
Again, just look for that little moment of separation and that right uppercut of Denning. And she looked like she was cocking back, ready to fire.
Yes, she did.
Crowd vocal behind us. It's a capacity crowd, and they're excited for the fights that have already occurred, and even more so as a strong straight is hit by Bennett.
Yeah, that was the best strike of the night for Bennett as far as I'm concerned. And now she has Denning up against the cage. Again, maybe looking to land some knees and dirty box and keep Denning away from what she wants to do, which is strike.
Now the separation, and again the flurry of punches before Bennett charges in again. Showing the signs of those lefts and rights on the orbitals of Bennett. Another strong right. That's been basically the punch Denning has relied on more frequently. She's maneuvering on the cage. Attempts at knees from Bennett, but not really doing much in way of damage.
10 seconds left in the second round as they break, and Denning is throwing some punches right now. Bennett keeps moving forward. Another uppercut grazes Bennett, and round 2 comes to an end. We're going to the third round, Brian.
And that's not necessarily a save by the bell, but it's locked out by the bell, at least in that scenario, because Denning really had an onslaught going there. It looked like she might have been able to finish it had that fight gone a little bit further on. Even 20 more seconds, she had an impressive flurry to end that. So round 2, Ryan, what are you thinking? More the same with Denning?
You know, actually, I think I got it 1-1 right now. You know, a lot of the pressure put on by the first-class MMA fighter in Bennett. I really feel like you got to give her one round. Maybe it's round 2. Again, both very, very close. It's tough to tell, but most of this fight, Katie Denning has spent up against the cage, and Bennett has been, although she hasn't done a lot of damage, she's been the one pushing the pace. So, you know, you got to give her a little bit of love here. Maybe it's 1-1 going to the third round, but we'll see. We'll see what the judges say.
The respective corners are breaking up as we are going to see what the next 3 minutes, if we get that far, will bring from the second amateur women's bout. Again, this one being contested in the featherweight ranks. And again, no touching of the gloves between these two women fighters. Just looking at the damage on the faces, though, it looks like more of the shots have landed flush on Bennett compared to Katie, as a resounding KT coming out from the over 1,000 crowd here.
Yeah, I think I really have it 1 round apiece going into this third round. Denning definitely has landed more shots, but here we go again with Bennett, you know, clinching her up against the cage there, putting the pressure on. So it's been really interesting to see what happens here as Denning lands a flurry of punches. Again, big left right there from Denning. She steps back and takes a deep breath. You know these ladies are tired. They've been exerting a lot of energy in there.
Again, the space that Denning really enjoys is out there right now. But again, it's about what's left in the gas tank.
It looks like Bennett just has a longer reach, so every time Denning lands a shot, Bennett's arms are up there to negate any follow shots, any big-time following shots after that. And that's where we've seen a lot of the clinch work, and pressure up against the cage. But right now, both ladies are in there, tired, looking to finish this fight. I love it.
Will this go the duration? Denning showing signs of tiredness out there, but still continuously landing lefts and rights. A good flush straight left connects to the right side cheek of Bennett.
Who wants it more at this point? This is what it comes down to. Who wants it more? Who's going to dig deep? Who's going to dig in that gas tank and come out with the last little bit of, a combo, something, a takedown, something like that. A takedown could win a round easily here at this point in the fight with how tired these ladies are. Get them down there, you get in top control. Might not get back up after that.
Bennett feeling a little bit more comfortable with throwing the punches. And now a single leg attempted, but snuffed out nicely by Bennett, who's now raining down punches to the side of Denning's face. She's now trying to control the left hand. And now trying to work on the side. Looks like she's trying to take the back, at least that's the motive. Again, crazy Katie Denning latching on to that left leg.
Great job by KU getting back up right there, controlling the posture there of Amanda as she holds on to that choke from the top. Katie's got that left leg, looking to do some work here.
Again, Denning has 6 rounds of action under her belt entering this fight. Bennett had none. But what a baptism by fire for the first-class MMA product with just 10 seconds left.
Well, each of them have plenty of rounds in training getting ready for this, so they're both game. They both want to come in here and get a W. Right now, Bennett seems content just to hang on as this fight comes to an end, and we will get a judge's decision. This is going to be really, really interesting.
Yeah. This is going to be a close one. As you scored it, at least on your Brian Jarrell scorecard, you had it at 1-1 after 2 rounds. Bennett looked really good in that third round. did Denning have enough to take it in maybe the first and second round to steal that one away or not? That is going to be up to the judges.
I think Bennett won the third round. It's going to come down to how did they score the first 2 rounds.
Yep.
Katie could have won both first rounds. She could have won round 1 and 2. You know, we'll see what the judges have to say. I mean, if you look at them right now post-fight, Bennett looks worse for wear. She's a little more beat up. Katie doesn't have much on her face, but as far as control goes, Bennett had a little bit better in that aspect of the game.
And the good news for Katie is it looked like she might have been stopped at some point had they gone another 30 seconds to a minute or so. So she lucked out. And again, admiration from both sides as Chris Young starts to shake the hands of Coach Rayel and the rest of the cornermen and women of the First Class MMA side and the fighter. And this, I'm sure, isn't the last we see of either Denning or Bennett here in the future. I imagine we'll see many, many more rounds from these very talented women in the future. Or at least selfishly, I hope so, because they've looked and put on quite a few great fights. Denning, that is, and the first foray for Bennett also has been strong. Well, Pete has got the official scorecard. He is entering cage. And we will get the official decision here in just a mere matter of moments between Bennett and Denning.
Folks, how about a round of applause for both of these ladies, given that they're all 3 hard-fought rounds here tonight in Bangor, Maine. We go to the judges' scorecards. Judge Mellon scores the fight 29-28 for Amanda Bennett. Judge McKinnon scores the fight 29-28 for Katie Denning. And Judge Corson scores the fight 29-28 for your winner via split decision, Katie Denning.
Well, Katie Denning will win a split decision, as I think our Pete Zimbor will also get some thoughts from the Young's MMA product.
Let's get a word with Katie Denning real quick. She says no, she has no desire to do an interview. Bad idea, Nick. Continue.
We'll see if that's an interview or nope, doesn't want to talk. I guess she only likes to talk with us at the Sea Dog. But Katie shows off to the crowd over to our left, and she is moving on to 2-1. As Bennett will go to 0-1, dropping a split decision. No shame in that game, and I'm hoping we see her back very, very soon, and hopefully those injuries she sustained were not very, very bad or anything. She looked pretty good.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Things considered.
Both ladies came to fight. It was a great fight. Again, two great gyms, and tonight Katie Denning got the W. I look forward to see her back in the cage, hopefully in Portland here for the next NEF card.
We already know that Ras Hilton will be fighting. Is that a rematch of York and DeCastro, too, in Hilton?
I mean, I'm not sure. Sign me up if it is. That
If it
first
is,
one ended
yes.
spectacularly.
And I believe Cam Arnold will also be fighting on that card as well. He's in attendance. Maybe we'll hear from him at some point as well, as he is one of the most anticipated fighters in this Maine region. People love to watch him fight. And speaking of love to watch these combatants fight, we have another one before we have championship matchups. We will have Taylor Bartlett taking on Devin Corson. And if you're not familiar with Devin Corson, well, one of the times we saw him fight and commentate, he put on a show. It was like Suplex City, Brock Lesnar type action out there from the guy who's going to be fighting tonight at 155.
Yeah, this dude's a beast. He really is a phenomenal wrestler. And, you know, he's cross-trained. He's cross-trained at Young's with those guys, and they all speak nothing but, you know, high words about this kid. And again, we saw him in live in person down in Lewiston when he fought there. And again, that Brock Lesnar, that's a pretty good analogy.
That was a matchup against Winston Cortez, a unanimous decision victory, albeit a dominating one. But making his jaunt to the cage is none other than Taylor Bartlett out of CMBJJ, weighed in at 154.8 pounds and is 1-1-1. He did beat Delmarcus Edwards via a TKO in the first round at NEF 34, but had just a decision. It was a draw between him and Jacob Detmeyer last time out here at the grounds of the ballroom at the Cross Insurance Center this past September.
This is going to be a very, very interesting fight. Again, both guys 1-1. You know they don't want to have a lopsided record. Both guys want to go 2-1. And here is Devin Corson out of the Outlet with the red Hayabusa shorts.
Yeah. He lost to Sean Lungi last time out. Said he took some time away to get himself ready to go, get himself better into a right frame of mind. We were speaking with him before this fight card got underway. He's been in the cage basically since he's got here, working on things, visualizing, and he's hoping he can visualize a win when all is said and done. He hails from the Outlet. And this will be a fight that was scheduled at 155. Bartlett weighed in at 154.8. Devin Corson 159.4 yesterday. You always have to love when you get the Red Hot Chili Peppers blaring out over the loud system here as we're getting ready, and Bartlett makes his way to the cage. Only fighter from the Outlet is Devin Corson, so he's definitely got a very good fan base from the Dexter side. Noticing when he was coming in, a lot of fans cheering him on, also on the chat on YouTube as well.
Very excited for this fight. Both of these guys are coming in here. They're looking lean. They're looking mean. And as I've said before, Devin Corson, this is a kid that really has a bright future. Phenomenal wrestler, got a lot of power. And then across the cage, you got a CMBJJ product. Training with guys like, Jesse Erickson,
yeah.
Matt Denning. They got a bunch of killers down there. Cam Arnold.
This will be a fun one, and we forget sometimes that amateurs are just that. They're learning, but it doesn't mean we can't have some fun enjoying this fight.
Grudge match. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner to my right. He trains with the Outlet. Ladies and gentlemen, Devin Corson. And standing directly across the cage, fighting out of the red corner to my left. He trains with Team CMBJJ. Ladies and gentlemen, Taylor Bartlett. 3 rounds, lightweight.
All right, this should be an interesting battle. We'll see how it all plays out. Corson versus Bartlett. Cage is locked, fighters ready, and I'm excited for this one, Ryan.
Cannot wait. Corson again in the red Hayabusa trunks. Bartlett in the black trunks with the star. It's both guys feeling each other out in the cage, and Corson comes forward and takes a couple of big shots there by Bartlett, and they are clinched up against the cage right now, looking to do some damage.
Both guys basically trying to find their way around in the cage, just getting their space awareness, and now we're seeing the ground game on display of Devin Corson.
Corson doing a good job in side control right now, looking to get into full mount. He does that very easily. Wow.
And you can see the time away from the cage has been very kind to Corson, at least early on, as he's in a great position. We'll see what he can do from this position.
Again, tough to tell from our vantage point right there, but it looked like he was trying to go for an armbar or Kimura right off the bat. Right now he's comfortable just staying in full mount, landing down some punches, as Bartlett is really trying his best to get right up. The good thing for him, he's against the cage, so he has that for help. But Corson's doing a good job of just staying on top, and just right now he's wrenching on his chin, trying to get underneath there. We'll see if he can loosen him up.
Not sure if he has it underneath the chin or not, but he has the hooks in. And again, the weight bearing down will likely pay dividends later on.
Early in this fight, too, with not as much sweat, this is a dangerous position for Bartlett here.
And I'm pretty sure Bartlett just has his chin tucked enough, but we'll see. Looks like he's battling just enough to keep himself away from this rear naked choke. Corson, though, not getting winded, but he is trying to make sure he can get that clinch in, but it's now broken up.
Bartlett may be able to slip out the back here. There he goes. Oh, if that would have landed, that would have been big trouble. Looking for Bartlett. Corson whiffed there.
Corson looking a little bit more comfortable. Bartlett back up to his feet, though, happy to be out of that situation that could have ended the fight.
Oh, it looks like Bartlett just lost his mouthpiece. The ref notices that, picks it up.
See if there might be a time where they can put it back in, though the pace not really leading to it. His knee's fairly low from Corson, who now swings wildly, and they're now time it for the mouth guard.
It's Corson that lost his mouthpiece. He didn't care. He was just going to keep going in there, man.
Like many of these fighters do, right? You see this time and time again. Good right, looking like it didn't hit as completely flush. Inadvertent music, we're back underway. Oh, that one almost drops. It will be enough, though. Corson hits one right at the end of the bell. But a good flurry there from the man from the outlet at the tail end. And I think he might have taken round one as well.
I would have to say so. Yeah, he did a good job of controlling that round and landed a couple shots there at the bell.
That can't happen again with the music.
Well, got talked to about the music, which is not our jurisdiction. Nonetheless, we are in the middle of the break here. Corson, just to our left, going through the mentoring process, getting a swig of water on the other side of things. Jesse Erickson and company talking to his young fighter, Bartlett. So the corners are leaving cage, and we are ready to go for round two. Good first 3 minutes. We'll see how the next three go. Bell sounds, and we are underway. Good flurry opening up, and a shot there to the midsection by Corson again.
Again, that was a nice leg kick right there. Bartlett ate it like a champ. He's got a good poker face, too. You know that hurt. Didn't even blink.
And again, that one rocked him. Corson landing a nice right-handed hook flush. Corson, when he does land those power punches, has been extremely effective, much like the way he closed the first.
Yeah, he's very much the aggressor in this fight, and he's throwing some haymakers right now. You know he wants to get a highlight reel finish here and improve his record to 2-1.
Both guys looking to go above the 500 mark in their amateur careers.
I'm seeing Bartlett is cut up over his right eye right now. We'll see if that plays a factor here as the fight goes on.
Both guys tenuous about trying to go in and be the aggressor. Crowd's starting to ask, and ooh, what a kick there from Corson.
Man, a great kick, and then he comes forward and lands a couple of big shots. And right now, Bartlett is hurt. Corson is pouring it on, and another big knee. And Bartlett stays in the fight. This kid is tough.
Corson smells blood in the water, however. Landing knees, trying to wear down the midsection, the core of Bartlett.
Corson looks very impressive so far in his third fight out. It's been a minute since we've seen him in there, but I feel like he's really improved. I mean, this is a tough opponent. Bartlett is no chump, and Corson is really looking great here tonight.
It's been almost a year to the day that Corson last fought for the NEF and last fought in mixed martial arts. That time off has not given him any cage rust. He's again out of the break, lands a flurry again, right after right. And again, another solid uppercut. The blood starting to pour out of the nose as again rocked is Bartlett. Kareem down to the mat. Blood coming out of both of these fighters now.
Corson trying to get around the back there. Bartlett does a good job, and then Corson does get the back. He's looking to get some hooks in, maybe finish this fight with a choke.
He's got the left leg hooked in. The right one still isn't over the midsection. Will he get that choke in? Not much time left to go, however. Good position for Corson, but it looks like a little too late as the bell sounds and the second three wrap up. So if we give the first round to Corson, what say you, Ryan, about the second round?
I give round 2 to Corson as well. I think he's up 2-0 right now in the scorecards. Although I'll tell you what, I'm very impressed with the heart of Bartlett. He's taken some big shots, and he looks still fairly fresh going into the third round. Corson is over here huffing and puffing, and Bartlett looks fairly calm over there, taking instructions from his team.
We're looking at two fighters who could have an extremely bright future ahead of them in this mixed martial arts scene in New England, and in particular Maine. We still have 3 minutes left over to see who might get a finish, or if we're going to go to the judges' scorecard once more.
And I'm curious to see how much Corson has left in the tank, because he's exerted an awful lot of energy in these first 2 rounds, and he does look tired at this point, obviously. So we're going to see if he's got enough to finish this as Bartlett, wants to try and steal this fight.
Getting ready for the beginning of round 3, and we are underway. Mutual show of respect, and we are ready for the final 3. What a way to kick off February with the sub-zero temperatures outside. No snow in sight other than the stuff that's already fallen. But it's definitely hot in here with the action.
Big kick by Corson. And again, he's got the back. He's looking to send Bartlett for a ride, and there it is. The signature Brock Lesnar throw.
Not necessarily a suplex, but definitely a slam. And that's the one he did promise us before this event got underway. And the official making sure Corson does not grab onto the cage. He's got the hooks in. Again, working for that rear naked choke once more.
He's doing a good job of controlling this fight, dictating where the pace of the fight and where the fight goes. I thought for a second there that Bartlett may have been able to sneak out the back, but Corson's doing a good job of controlling him and staying heavy on his back and keeping him right where he wants him.
And Corson is right in front of his corner, too. So you know the instructions are being read loud and clear. Lost the hooks. Still in a pretty good position on the back. Trying to set up the mustachioed Bartlett. Now working on the side. Raining down some blows, but not really affecting Bartlett a ton here. Encouragement being yelled from the right side in the red corner from Jesse Erickson and company. Another submission attempt. This one might be underneath the chin, or it's close to it for Corson. Now he's switching arms to the left.
Corson is relentless. Just keeping the pressure on, softening up with punches, switching submission attempts. Bartlett, again, just will not quit.
Back
Takes
to the
another
feet.
big shot. My goodness.
Although Corson gets rocked as this one kicks him down. Cam Arnold across the cage. A pretty prolific fighter in his own right. Jumping up and down, cheering on his teammate. But again, Corson gets the back. The momentum fleeting and momentary for Bartlett.
That shot by Bartlett landed flush. Sat Corson right on his butt, and now he's moving forward. Corson is tired right now, and again goes right back to old reliable, his wrestling to control Bartlett. That might have taken the last little bit of steam that Bartlett had out of him. I don't know how much time's left, but there can't be a whole lot.
Corson's got to be careful, though. Gotten into a couple positions where he might have had a decent choke put onto him, but is able to slip out.
We're under 10 seconds now. Corson raining down punches as this fight will come to an end, and we will go to the judges' scorecards for a decision. Got to imagine Devin Corson won this fight.
So we will see who is the victor in this matchup. It's a pretty good one. And no matter what the outcome for Devin Corson, the long year layoff has not made him look like he's had any rust. He looked pretty strong out there. And kudos as well to Bartlett for surviving the onslaught. And a chance still to pick up the victory, though Corson climbing the cage thinking he's got the W in hand. And slipping on his way back down. What a good kip up nonetheless. You gotta love it when you get these young fighters in the amateur ranks just excited, and now Corson's just showing off, because that's something I couldn't even dream of doing.
Very impressive, very skilled athlete. Kid's got a bright future.
They're tabulating the judges' scorecards. We'll get the announcement here in just a moment or two. Coming up next, featherweight championship in the amateur ranks. And then we head to the pros. 3 bouts left after we get the decision on this one. 11 fights, and we've already had 7 in the books. We have the 8th one coming our way. Here's we're going to send it now to our Pete Zimborn.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 3 hard-fought rounds, we go to the judges' scorecards. One judge sees the fight 30-27, while the other 2 see it 30-26. All for your winner, via unanimous decision, Devin Corson.
And a nice win in his return for one, Devin Corson, who won that one pretty handedly. 30-27 and 30-26, posing for the camera with Monty Rand. Now he's going to get that team shot to remember his second victory, and the first one since almost 2 years ago. His win was against Winston Cortez in Lewiston back on February 11th, 2017. And another backflip for good measure. Why not? When you can do it, why not? So 3 more fights left, 2 of which are title fights. And this one coming up, Ryan, is one of the most anticipated bouts in a very, very long time. Fred Lear returns to the cage going against a guy who has been just mowing down his competition, as it's Fred Lear taking on Zach Richard.
God, I can't wait for this fight. I've been looking forward to this fight for weeks now. Actually, since it's been announced, this fight has just been one that catches your eye. I mean, Fred Lear, obviously the bantamweight champion. Now he's going up in weight class to take on Zach Richards, who's undefeated, and as you alluded to, Brian, just been steamrolling his opponents. Fred Lear has been doing this for a while, and again, I've said it before, I'll say it again, for my money, Young's MMA, best gym in Maine, one of the absolute best in New England, and Fred Lear has a camp of killers around him, getting him ready for this fight. You know Zach Richards is coming to bang. This guy, first three wins, 3 round 1 finishes, and impressively at that. And he's got a little bit of a size advantage on Fred, so we'll see if that plays a factor.
Well, coming out will be Zach Richard, 3-0, hailing from Southern Maine. He's got quite a big contingent out there as well, and he's jumping around. We were impressed last time we saw him at Aura Nightclub and how quickly he disposed of Chris Alachik. A rear naked choke win in the first round, as all 3 of his finishes have come in the first round.
And as we mentioned, Fred Lear's camp at a Young's MMA, Nostos with Devin Powell. Not a bad guy to have in your corner. UFC lightweight in the building. Can't wait to see him back in the octagon again soon.
Yeah, hopefully very soon, because I love seeing Devin fight. He's definitely represented this New England Fights promotion. And I'm hearing is it a Zachy chant? I don't know exactly.
It almost sounds like Rocky.
Oh, I think Rocky. I don't know.
That's right, too, because his Instagram name is Rocky something or other.
Sense. By the way, was able to talk with Devin Powell during the intermission. Very, very proud of his young fighter in Jake Bagley as well. and hoping to be extremely proud of the performance that young man who is just strutting around the cage will provide here in a couple of moments or so. Again, his 3 victories, Gabriel Diaz back in NEF 33 on April 14th, 2018, and then he beat Clifford Redmond and Chris Lechik as well for his 3 wins.
Now, are you going to try and figure out a new nickname for Fred Lear, or are you going to stick with Wolfman? I don't think he likes it too much.
I don't think he likes that. I've actually talked with his mom and dad before, who gave me the once up and down saying they don't like the nicknames at all. He's just going to be Fred Lear, and he's going to let his time in the cage do the talking for him instead of a nickname. But this might be the 2 loudest fan bases so far. I'm actually hearing some booing coming from behind us and a large contingent from Southern Maine. Well, this is going to be an electric atmosphere, and we haven't even hit the pro side of the card yet. Fred Lear, the last time he was in this cage, Ryan, do you know how it was finished against Walt Shea?
Oh, man, that was something else. Very, very impressive.
A flying front kick to finish Walt Shea.
This is as loud as we've heard this place all night long, and rightfully so. Title on the line, 2 very talented guys, a lot of hype behind Zach Richard, and Fred Lear, his toughest test to date, no doubt about it.
Fred Lear, as we've talked about, making the step back up to 145. He's fought there 1 time versus Brian Ulrich back in 2015. He's fought a catchweight battle against Henry Clark. That was his last loss. At 135, he is unbeaten and on a 3-fight winning streak. But how will those extra 10 pounds affect him with a larger opponent in Zach Richard, who, again, has never fought the caliber of Fred Lear?
Well, we're seeing it in the big show. You look at guys like Daniel Cormier, who don't have to cut weight, who fight up a heavyweight now. Now he's running through people. You just saw what happened with T.J. Dillashaw. You know, he lost to Henry Cejudo. So this could benefit Fred Lear because he's going to be stronger. He didn't have to suck his body out to cut weight. This could be a big factor for him, you know, feeling healthier coming into this fight. We'll see what happens.
This is electric. We are going to send it down to Pete with the official introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, this next fight is brought to you by Sea Dog Brewing Company and is scheduled for 5 3-minute rounds for the vacant NEF Amateur Featherweight Championship. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner to my right. He trains with Team Nostos MMA. Ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome back to NEF, Zach Richard. And standing directly across the cage, fighting out of the red corner to my left, he is the former NEF Amateur Bantamweight Champion. Tonight, he seeks his 2nd title in his 2nd weight division. Ladies and gentlemen, he trains with Young's MMA right here in Bangor, Maine. Ladies and gentlemen, Fred Lear.
5 rounds to determine the champion in this featherweight bout. Will Fred Lear be a 2-division champion, or will Zach Richard ascend to the top like his destiny? Again, this is an electric atmosphere. The fans in attendance chanting Rocky or Fred. And coming out strong early on is Richard. This is going to be one heck of a fight, Ryan.
Fred looks very composed in there. Calm, cool, and collected. Zach's coming forward looking to land some bombs. And Fred is just measuring his opponent right now.
The one thing about Zach is, though he has not fought the caliber of opponent of a Fred Lear in his career yet, does not look like he's facing too much adversity going against a very tough fight.
Well, Fred's a phenomenal wrestler. We know that, as is Zach. And we're really going to see, you know, who wants it more? Who's going to get in there? Who's going to get, you know, a little bit more gritty? If this fight goes the distance, I always love to see, you know, who's the guy that's going to dig deepest. And that's what we might see here. That's what might be the difference in this fight, because both of these guys are very good, and for what we've seen so far, pretty equal.
It's funny, we were talking with Fred about his wrestling, hailing from John Bapps, the Crusader on the wrestling team. I said, you think your wrestling's better? Why don't you talk some trash? And he's very respectful, wouldn't say anything like that. But he's like, well, Zach is he's an all-state wrestler. They're going to deduct a point from Fred. Was that grabbing the cage, Ryan?
It must have been. I didn't see it from the vantage point where we're sitting right now. Man, you think you give him a warning rather than just take a point so quickly.
Either that or it might have been something a little low. Coming out like a bull in a china shop is Zach Richards, feeding off this crowd who made a pretty large journey to get up to Bangor, Maine tonight. Well, now we'll have to see how the game plan changes for Lear. He does have 5 rounds in which to work, but down a point already no matter what the judges score compared to what it could have been. That's
big. That's big, because if this fight does go long, that could be the difference in winning and losing. I'd like to talk to the ref a little bit and see why the point was taken so quickly. As Zach's doing a good job of keeping Fred up against the cage right now. Fred reverses him. And he's really trying to make sure those knees don't get in there. You can see Fred trying to block him. That's what Zach wants.
We talked about Corson not having that cage rust, but Fred hasn't fought since he beat Boucher back on August 5th of 2017. That's a long layoff for a guy, no matter how much you've been training. Fred again working Richard back to the cage again. Looks back over at Devin Powell and company, nodding in approval as he eats a knee. 10 seconds left. The sprawl. And coming out, a quick left hook by Lear. And that's how the first round will end. And I think with the 1 point deducted, Zach's probably on top, right? We'll see if maybe we can figure out what exactly the point deduction was on.
I could have swore I just heard the ref come and say that no taking the point. Maybe I'm not hearing right, but I could have sworn that's what he just said.
He's going around the cage side. He's talking about it. We'll see if maybe we can get some clarification as well. Pretty even first round, all things considered. Well, we got a long way to go before everything is signed, sealed, and delivered. And our first of 2 champions will be crowned. Are you surprised? I know Zach Richard has a huge fan base, but are you surprised with how many black and green T-shirts you're seeing emblazoned with his logo and insignia out there?
There's a ton. I have to say I'm a little surprised. Good for him. He's got a big fan base and a big team that's coming in to support him. Both of these guys are ready to rumble here for this second round.
And we are underway in the second round. Again, the aggressor early on is Zach. Good takedown defense, though, from Fred Lear. Looks like he might be working on a choke.
Zach right now is really peeling those wrists apart to break that choke, as Fred has it in there pretty good right now and is making Zach really exert a lot of energy to stay out of this.
The sprawl almost takes out the official. As everyone cheering on their feet. Both of these guys are fan favorites. One of the reasons why when this fight was announced, tickets went like hotcakes.
Nice knee by Lear. And the fans are chanting Rocky again for Zach Richards.
Albeit just 3 fights in his career, but he has carved out quite a niche in our fan base, hasn't he?
Sure has. And again, Fred is landing some big knees right now, scoring points. Zach's got a hold of Fred's right wrist to control him from trying to throw any big punches as the 2 guys jockey for position.
I know Fred has aspirations of going pro. Thought maybe this fight wasn't even necessary. Thought his amateur career might have been done after the victory versus Boucher. But if Zach Richard can get to victory as well, you gotta imagine he's on the hot path, the hot shotting right to the pro ranks here in the near future.
Big takedown right there by Fred Lear too. With close fight like this, takedowns can steal rounds.
This might not be the fight that fans of boxing might look at and say, this is going to be a classic, but it is a chess match in terms of positioning.
That's why I love mixed martial arts so much, is because you've got to be proficient in every discipline. You just can't be a boxer or a wrestler or a jiu-jitsu practitioner or kickboxer. You got to be good at everything, because anything can happen in a fight. That's why MMA has vaulted to the top of the combat sports world.
Fred trying to go to the choke, but just can't cinch it in underneath the chin. Now rain down a hammer fist or two, now working on the midsection of Richard. Single leg takedown attempt. Fred has done a good job stuffing that, at least earlier in the fight. He's working on trying to stuff a second.
Fred looking a lot better here in round 2.
Now working from a seated position, still trying to crank on that neck to wear down Zach, but also to try to finish it.
We're under 10 seconds left now in the round.
Zach and Fred both back up on their feet, but that's how the second round will end. But a much better next 3 minutes from Fred Lear.
And this is really interesting, because all we've seen from Zach Richards so far is one-round finishes. This is the furthest he's ever been in his career, so we'll see what his gas tank is like. And you know Fred Lear at this point is coming for blood. He's not sucked out. This has been an easy weight cut for him. You got to imagine he's fresh, so we'll see how that plays out.
Fred 6-2 in his amateur career, though, has only seen the third round one time. That was his second fight against now teammate Carl Langston. So he hasn't really been tested too deep, but he has been tested much more than his opponent in Richards.
No doubt about it. I want to give a shout out to our boy Carl Langston too at Young's MMA. We know you're watching the stream tonight, buddy. Can't wait to see you fight tomorrow night down in New Hampshire.
Yeah, best of luck to Carl Langston, a fan favorite in New England fights as well. Well, it's been a great night so far. Again, thank you very much for tuning in to the Ballroom at the Cross Insurance Center. Brian Stackpole, Ryan Jarrell, and we appreciate you making us part of your Friday. The touching of the mitts, and Zach says, no, I'm going to go right in. It looked like Fred was going to try to touch mitts. I don't know if it's a show of bad sportsmanship or not, or whether or not I was judging it incorrectly, but nonetheless, we're underway in the third.
Guys exchange blows right there. Fred tried to land a knee. Oh, and Zach had a nice kick there to the bottom half of Fred's right calf.
Actually, if you're looking at the right eye of Fred, starting to see a little bit of swelling. Richard not really showing too much wear, at least on the head. There were flurry coming in from the fighter down from Southern Maine. Fred again, calm, cool. And wrist control might be the battle here against the cage. Fred holding that left wrist and now delivering a nice midsection knee.
That was a very nice knee. And the problem right now that Fred's having with trying to get this to the ground is Zach's length. That's been a difference here so far against the cage, as Fred grabs a hold of the neck, maybe looking to drag him down to the ground.
Trying to bring this to the mat. Both fighters go down to a knee. And it's back up. Good job from Richards to get out of that. Ooh.
Nice kick by Fred, and Zach returns.
The snappiness.
Ooh, big shot by Zach. He caught him again with another shot, and Fred just runs right through it and is on Zach's back right now.
The energy behind us is palpable. Fans jumping up at a moment's notice when their respective favorite fighter lands a good blow. Oh, it looks like a little bit of cut underneath the armpit of Fred Lear. Not sure if that was wear on the cage or not. Some blows being rained down.
Those are nice hammer fists right now, and now he's going right to the midsection.
That's going to be careful, though. Not necessarily a submission attempt, but not in the position he wants to be in terms of balance. Fred looks over at Coach Young in his red corner. He's clinched up to the cage. He can do that as a coach.
A great job by Fred rolling, and now he's on the back of Zach Richards. He's looking to get some hooks in. Oh, he lands a big shot.
What a punch, now throwing down blows, trying to finish the undefeated fighter, trying to be the first to do so. Fred looking for the opening. Richards not doing a ton. 10 seconds left, though. Will Richards survive?
Back up to his feet now as the crowd chants Rocky to push Zach Richards into another round, and both guys breathing heavy with their hands on their hips. What a fight this has been.
This has been a great battle so far. The looking in the corner of Zach Richards, he is definitely being tested, and I think not getting past the first round is starting to affect him. He is looking gassed over there, but does have some time to readjust himself as we go into the championship rounds, Ryan. Whew.
This is what it's all about right here. This is for a belt. You know both of these guys want it. Fred talked to us on our show Between Rounds Radio previously here at the Sea Dog about this being his last amateur fight and him wanting to go pro after this. If Zach Richards can throw a monkey wrench into that plan, maybe he'd want to test the waters in amateur, maybe one or two more fights. Who knows? You never know what's going on in the head of these fighters. But both of these guys, high level, and Zach Richards is getting the biggest test of his young career right now.
Well, we enter the championship rounds. And again, no touching of gloves. Both men just workmanlike out there. I'm not sure if I'm hearing just Rocky. Maybe we're hearing a little Freddie, too. Possibly. Who knows? But both fighters have a huge amount of support.
Right now, Fred looks like the fresher fighter to me. Zach gave up that takedown a little bit easier than he would have early in the fight.
Yeah. And this was where a little bit more of the ring presence, the ring time comes into effect and really helps out a Fred Lear. But the power we've seen with Zach can end this at a moment's notice. Good news for Richard is he's right in the corner, that blue side of the thing, so he's getting all the instructions. Well, Fred still has to deal with all the noise coming out from the thousands in attendance. Back in the center of the cage, a couple shots glancing off of Lear's face.
Zach coming forward, looking to land some blows right now. And Fred returns with a kick. Zach hit him with a nice straight right. And they're clinched up against the fence again.
Talking with some people who are just casual MMA fans, they love Fred Lear as a human being. But the kindness of one's heart is not going to get you too far in this game. Only how good you are at throwing punches, your jiu-jitsu, your wrestling. Richards trying to get that takedown. Both fighters seemingly taking a little bit of a breather here as it's gone to the mat.
Zach right now has a hold of Fred's left leg, hanging on right now. Maybe trying to use that to get back to his feet, but Fred does a good job of reversing position, getting on the other side.
Lear in the blue shorts, Richards in the black. Both guys trying to find some sort of an opening. Fred, though, looking like he's in control of this position currently. Back to their feet, Richard looking for the takedown. Oh, Richard almost getting the back of Fred, but a good job there repositioning himself for Lear.
Fred's wrestling ability right now is coming into play as this fight goes on. Right now he's able to control Zach a lot easier than he was early on in the fight. And Fred right now is mentioning something to the ref. I'm not quite sure. Maybe Zach is holding on to his gloves. I think that's what he was saying. Zach was hanging on to his gloves as Fred was trying to get loose and throw some hammer punches down, which is done now. 10 seconds left in the round.
As we are destined to go for a fifth round, but Lear is dropped by Richard. Will that be the momentum swing to end round 4 that Richard desperately needs to take this one away? And does Lear, after being penalized earlier, does he need to win this one by stoppage to get the title? Those are the questions we have in the next 3 minutes.
You see what Chris Young just did. He turned Fred around and pointed at Zach Richards and said, look how tired he is. That right there is something that can motivate a fighter and give him confidence coming into this last round here. I mean, Zach is gassed. He's never gone this far. We've talked about it before. Yeah. He clearly looks like the more tired fighter at this point. That could be a huge factor in how this fight ends up here.
Devin Powell elevating the legs of Zach Richard as he's being toweled down. He looks like he just wants this fight to last 3 more minutes and move on. Championship rounds as they're going a full pro fight. Possible.
Great fight so far.
5th and final round. It's been a fun one. Both fighters showing some respect, which is the only way to christen this final round. We bring them to the center, and Fred, knowing that his opponent is a little tired, tries to immediately go for the takedown.
Big knee by Fred up against the cage and just missed with the left hook as he comes forward and throws Richards to the mat and just missed with a baseball kick.
Yeah, he's lucky. That could have been really bad. Because we're not talking about pride rules or anything, or even 1FC. Back to the feet nonetheless. Does Fred need a finish here to get the win?
I don't think so.
Is it that close?
I don't think so. I think if he grinds out and wins this round, I think he's going to win this fight.
And I think the judges also are looking, though. A good side takedown, it appears, from Richards. They are seeing how gassed he is in between rounds, which has basically been the case since after round 2.
See, right there, Zach had an opening to try and get on full mount or control Fred, and Fred was having none of it. He got right back up, and now again is in a much better position, having Zach backed up against the cage. That was a big moment right there in the final round.
This is how you could steal round 5, though, depending on what happens. Richards, though, logging on with that left arm, but easily broken by Lear, especially with the perspiration glistening off the backs. Fred getting behind Richards. Can he finish it, or will he go on the top now? He's on side right now. Oh, he stepped over, but good move and shiftiness from Richard.
Big shots from Fred from the top.
Not much time left to go in this contest. Now a Fred chant coming out.
I think all Fred has to do is hang on here, and he's going to get the win. Looks like he's going for a submission attempt.
Waning moments in this fight. Zach trying to remain unbeaten. Fred trying to win his second championship at the amateur ranks before making and fulfilling his destiny as a pro fighter. Couple of fists thrown down. Fred really can't do much to stop it. Lear now giving up his back.
Fred trying to stand up right now as he grabs a hold of Zach's head and spins him around, and both guys now again jockeying for position. They're back up. Fred has Zach pinned up against the cage, and now Zach flips Fred. Unreal.
Both fighters trying to steal the 5th and final round. Who will do it?
Both guys going for it. This is great. 10 seconds left in the fight.
Lear trying to get away. He will do so. They both throw some haymakers, and that's how the fight will end. 5 full rounds, and we will now go to the judges to see who is the new featherweight champion of the New England Fights amateur ranks, as Richard has to be picked up as he collapses, which is not a good aesthetic look for him in a decision for the judges. And they are deducting 1 point from Fred, so that is official. We're seeing that now. After the judges' scores, they had to deduct 1 point from that first round because of, I think, Fred grabbing the cage is what we would heard. Well, it's going to come down to who comes out on top from our 3 judges, cage side. And Ryan, I think you said that Fred had done enough. Is our official really looking diligently over, making sure that our official tabulation is correct. Does not want any finagling, though it is an amateur fight, nonetheless, it's not going to go on their pro records, but a lot of pride on the line.
This was a very, very close fight. It's going to be very interesting to see what the judges decide. You know, one of these guys is going to be heartbroken, and the other one's just going to be absolutely elated.
Richard still on his stool. Lear is up, talking with Matt Peterson and Nick DeSalvo of the New England Fights promotion. In terms of the optics, at least, Fred definitely looks like the fresher fighter after 5 rounds and 15 minutes of cage time. A
Great
good
show of
embrace,
respect
though, yeah.
by both guys in the middle of the cage. Hell of a fight.
Again, the winners outside of whoever is crowned the victor is definitely the fans and all of you watching at home as well. And both guys, I'm sure, will have a great pro career ahead of them, whenever that may be for Lear and for Richard. Well, Pete Zimbor is entering the cage again. Both fighters are awaiting the announcement of who is the winner. Well, Pete will grab the mic, and I can't wait to see who is crowned the featherweight champion.
Folks, how about a round of applause to both Fred Lear and Zach Richard? What a hell of a championship fight that was. After 5 hard-fought rounds, we go to the judges' scorecards. And all 3 judges see this fight 47-47. This fight is ruled a draw. Folks, would you like to see that one again someday?
So the fight will be ruled a
Let's
draw.
get both fighters in here real quick for a word. Fred and Zach. Fred, want to join us real quick? You're vying for your 2nd title in the 2nd weight class. Come up short, a draw. Your thoughts?
Anytime you don't come out here and you don't do your job, you don't get the finish, you walk away with something that you need to work on. This is my hometown and I got the shit booed out of me. That's a testament to this young man right here. I never met Zach before the weigh-ins yesterday. But when you got a sister like Lacey, there's no surprise that you got a young man like this. Aside from the fight, thank you for everyone that is here in Bangor to make this fight happen. For all you people out here booing me, thank you. We all need that sometimes. Let's give it up for my opponent, Zach Richard. And also thank you to my mom and dad, my girlfriend, Julia. I love you all very much.
Zach, join us for a moment. Vying for a title tonight, a draw. Your thoughts on the proceedings?
I'd love to do it again. It cracked me in the last few seconds, got me pretty good. Hats off to Fred, though. He's such a good kid. Good sport. Thank you for everyone to come out, support me, my sister in heaven. Fred, if you want to do it again, we'll do it again. Thank you, Young's MMA. Thank you, Bangor. Hell of a fight. Thank you.
Before the decision was announced, some guy told me he would give $1,000 to charity in the name of your sister if you won. I think I'd hit him up for $1,000 anyways. Zach Richard, Fred Lear, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully we see that again someday.
And maybe we see that in the not the heavyweight, but the professional ranks when all is said and done.
Sign me up. I'd like that. What a heck of a fight that was.
All right, well, we're going to head into the pro card. By the way, that 1 point deducted does cost Fred his 2nd championship. So Fred Lear, losing that point in the 1st round, ultimately dooms him from winning the featherweight amateur crown. But one heck of a fight regardless, a candidate for fight of the night.
Reminder that New England Fights is back on April 27th at Aura Nightclub. And right now, I would like to invite 2 of the combatants that night into the cage right now to discuss their fight. Let's bring in Henry Clark and Cam Arnold, ladies and gentlemen. Cam Arnold enjoying one last night out before training camp begins, drinking a Budweiser, ladies and gentlemen. Cam, first off, you're going to be fighting Henry on April 27th at Aura Nightclub in Portland. Defending champion, tell us your thoughts on this man being your challenger.
I really don't have too many thoughts. All I see is an opponent across my way. Henry's a very respectable guy. Has had nothing but good things to say to me. So with that being said, I'm going to go out there. I'm going to do everything I can to finish him. I expect the same from him. And sorry, Bangor, I couldn't come out and perform for all you lovely folks. But I will be back. I will be knocking some motherfucker out. And I hope to please all you guys. And let's start. I don't know. I'll hold off on the rest.
Henry, he's looking to knock you out. You're never at a loss for words. You told me you wanted to kill people last time I spoke with you, I think. Your thoughts on vying for this title on April 27th?
I'm freaking psyched about this. I've been asking Cam for a long time. I finally got him. There's nothing he can do. He can't run. It's just going to be me and him, and I'm coming out the victor.
How about a face-off, folks? Should we do a face-off here in the center of the... I'll hold the beer, you hold the belt. How's that? I've never had to hold a fighter's beer before while doing a face-off. Kim Arnold and Henry Clark, ladies and gentlemen, April 27th, Aura Nightclub in Portland. Thank you, gentlemen.
And one heck of a fight already announced.
Who's ready for the professional portion of tonight's card to begin?
Boy, that stare down, that was intense.
Well, we head to the pro fights. We've already seen one Youwer from Young's MMA. How about one with two initials, CJ?
Can't wait to see CJ back in here, and this is a very, very interesting matchup. Mark Gardner, you know him. He beat one Carlton Charles, who is a physical specimen, former University of Maine football player, freak athlete. Mark Gardner is legit on the ground, so this is going to be a very, very interesting stylistic matchup between two exciting professional mixed martial artists.
And again, the crowd support likely will be in the side of the Young's MMA product, but that can always be thrown out the window, especially after what we just saw with Zach Richard. But again, 2 fights remaining still to come. A featherweight champion will likely be crowned. I said that before, and we got the draw. There's still another belt over there to be won. And you mentioned Mark Gardner, who did have that impressive victory over Carlton Charles. You know, Carlton had an impressive win over too, was Josh Jones, who still has the record for quickest knockout in New England Fights history. So if you use that chain of succession, you can see what kind of a game opponent Mark Gardner is, considering he's also unbeaten making his pro debut tonight.
No doubt about it. And again, 3 fights in his amateur career, 3 finishes, 2 of them round 1 submissions. And then he against Carlton, went to the second round. So again, I can't wait to see this fight. This is going to be really interesting. CJ Youwer, you know he's got a lot of power. It kind of looks like well, not to say that George St. Pierre isn't jacked, but he looks like an even more jacked version of George St. Pierre. So this is going to be a really interesting matchup between these two.
Well, 2 fights left. It should be interesting to see. Mark Gardner's 3 wins. Carlton Charles, Brendan Schwink, and also Eric Camacho. He has finished all of his opponents. The Carlton Charles fight was in the second round. The other 2 submissions, RNC and armbar, in the first round. And always good when you hear a little hate breed coming out there. Always, always fun.
This is your kind of music, isn't it?
Love this. And Gardner's been game. He's been excited. He's been here ready to go basically since the early afternoon. And he looks like a motivated man who, in this catchweight bout of 180, he was 179 yesterday. His opponent, 0.2 of a pound heavier, CJ Youwer. CJ has fought all over the map from 155 to 185, but definitely is impressive when you see his physique and build at 185 pounds when he doesn't have to cut as much, because he looks like his nickname, the Albino Rhino.
One of the last times we saw him fight here in Bangor, he had a very quick finish of Redmond here at the Cross Insurance Center. Ruben was supposed to fight tonight against one of CJ's teammates, Ricky Dexter, but that fight did not come to fruition. So we'll see if CJ can follow up on that masterful performance with another quick finish.
And if I recall, that fight in that knockout versus Ruben was in front of a couple names you might be familiar with, Matt Serra, Dean Thomas, and some guy who might have a place in Levant named Dana White.
Never heard of him.
That was the Looking for a Fight card back on August 5th, 2017. Though CJ has found himself in a little bit of a losing streak, 0-2. Cameron Lochinov at an EF 32, and then also Caleb Hall. And when he has been bested in his pro career, it has been by way of a submission.
Again, Cameron Lochinov and Caleb Hall, those are two studs.
Yeah.
You really can't hang your head on losses to those guys. And, you know, CJ has, as I say it time and time again, Young's MMA, one of the best gyms around. And he's just got a bunch of killers for training partners. He's saying, how can you not get better day in and day out if you're in there grinding and you have guys like Ryan Sanders and, you know, Josh Harvey, Ricky Dexter, Aaron Lacey, you know, the list goes on and on. I mean, he gets some of the best sparring he can get right there at the gym. So this right here, this is supposed to be fun. You put in all the hard work in camp. This is where you're supposed to go out and have fun. And we'll see how CJ looks. And, you know, again, I'm really excited to see if this fight does go to the ground because we know how good Gardner is. I look at CJ and I'm just like, power. That guy's going to knock you out. So this could be a really interesting stylistic matchup.
Well, both fighters are in the cage. We are just a few moments away from getting this one underway.
Ladies and gentlemen, we enter the professional ranks. This fight scheduled for 3 5-minute rounds, a non-title matchup in the middleweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner to my right. He trains out of the Academy of Mixed Martial Arts. Undefeated as an amateur tonight, he makes his professional debut. He has one name and one name only. Ladies and gentlemen, Pockets! Standing directly across the cage, fighting out of the red corner to my left. He trains with Young's MMA right here in Bangor, Maine. He is the reigning NEF middleweight champion, CJ Youwer.
The man affectionately known as Pocket is, of course, Mark Gardner.
That's right.
I think we'll call him Mark and Gardner throughout the duration of this one, but Pocket out there for tonight.
And here we go, round one underway. Both guys touch gloves. Gardner opens up with a kick. CJ comes back firing.
CJ very patriotic, of course, serving our nation's armed forces. One of the reasons why you don't see him fight as frequently as I think some fans would like is because he does serve overseas.
And thank you for your service, Mr. Youwer.
He always looks fresh, doesn't he? He's an impressive fighter, even though he's on a 2-fight losing streak currently in CJ Youwer. 1 fight left to go after this one. This is our first pro fight of the 11th.
Couple of knees from Gardner right up there. He's flexible to get those up so close. And again, landing some elbows right now as CJ looks to be cut up.
Yeah, blood already on Gardner, but it's not his own. Going and shooting for the single leg.
And here we are on the ground. This is where Gardner is extremely dangerous. Using those elbows very effectively here in the first round. A lot of blood on the cage.
Gardner trying to get position, but again, the strength of CJ not allowing it. Some elbows raining down just on the left side of CJ's face. And yeah, their blood is definitely pouring from CJ. I'm not exactly sure from where, but you're seeing it covering Gardner. It's also now residing on the mat, too. As both fighters have blood on their feet. Coach Chris Young barking out instructions. Giving up his back, but still fighting around it. Looks like he's got a crimson mask going.
CJ's got to really try and get back up to his feet here. Easier said than done with Gardner on you.
Now that we're seeing him change directions, I'm seeing a little bit of a cut over the left eye maybe of CJ as he gets a blow right to the side of his head.
That was a big shot. I felt that from here. Oh, and CJ is really busted up. He's got a big gash above his left eye. That's something that if this fight does go past the first round, it could be a problem, as Gardner right now has CJ's right arm trapped.
CJ trying to pull that right arm. That could have been dangerous. You could be talking about tears. Good push off on the cage, too. CJ still having that arm pinned behind his back.
That's a problem right there. That got a roll, and Gardner still has it. My goodness, his BJJ is elite.
And actually, I'm noticing we have blood now on our paperwork in front of us, just showing the amount of just sheer blood that is coming out of CJ's face. Gardner again dominating for much of this first round. So we have switched to 5-minute rounds, which means more chances for work, as now a CJ chant bellowing out from the left.
Gardner again looking for submissions after submissions on the ground. He is just relentless, and CJ is really losing this first round pretty emphatically.
And people were wondering whether or not this was the wrong move for Gardner, at least early on, for his first pro fight. This has been a very, very impressive performance. Not much in the way of anything here from either side. CJ's not really doing much in a bad position, but Gardner doesn't look like he's trying to choke, but now I'm noticing a little bit of a heel hook, at least with his heel, hooking the heel of CJ.
Yeah, CJ's not in the best of positions right now, as Gardner has him tied up. And he's just looking to survive, maybe get out of this first round, get back up to his feet. As you could tell right from the beginning, his game plan, he wants to come out, he wants to knock you out. He's got heavy hands.
Now he's working on the left arm. He had the right one pinned back, I believe, earlier. Oh, this is just painful to watch, too.
Good Lord. And he got it out.
I was going to say, Dr. James Andrews probably watching this at home saying, I might have a new client here in the near future, but a great job and effort from CJ as the swelling really coming on that left eye.
A lot of heart by CJ to fight off all those submission attempts, and now he's in side control on Gardner. A little bit of time left in the first round. See if he can score some points. 10 seconds now.
CJ just trying to get some momentum. At least in our eyes, Sommerly has lost this first round to an impressive pro debut for Gardner. First 5 minutes, looks like he belongs in these ranks.
I would say so. That was a 10-8 round, Brian.
And this is going to be one of the decisions here that the doctor's going to look at and see, is it worth CJ continuing on in this fight with the swelling that is over his left eye? Is they're also cleaning up some of the blood in front of us too, which has dispersed onto our sheets and hopefully not our laptop and equipment as well. Otherwise, you might be sending a catering bill, or not a catering, a dry cleaning bill.
Hey,
maybe catering too.
Well, that's what happens when you get these good seats. That's part of the game. But yeah, you know, if I'm Chris Young and I'm in the Young's corner here, I'm telling CJ, come out, utilize your boxing skills, throw some hands, do everything you can to try to keep this fight on the feet. Because as you saw in that round,
wow. And you can't deny the heart of CJ Youwer, but as much as he would love to get the victory and continue this fight, it's probably the best decision to make sure health is paramount. You don't want that affecting him later on in life, or him possibly losing an eye if that was the case and they continued to get worse. So, again, health is paramount here. Wins are wins and losses are losses, but Mark Gardner impressive in his pro debut.
Very much so.
Well, they're still giving some attention to CJ Youwer and his eye. As Young's MMA having a little bit of some struggles, and the brothers Youwer not necessarily a night to remember. It's always good to be able to fight with your brother, but unfortunately both going to defeat when all is said and done. Well, very respectful show between Young's MMA and the Academy.
And CJ Youwer, all class, shaking hands right now. You know this is hard for him. This is not easy. He's a competitor. He's a warrior. He'll be back.
And we now send it to Pete for the official announcement.
Ladies and gentlemen, CJ Youwer is unable to continue into round number 2 due to a cut over his left eye. Therefore, your winner by technical knockout in his professional debut, Pockets! Coming up next, it's our main event of the evening. 5 rounds for the NEF Featherweight Championship as Josh Hook on Harvey takes on Maine MMA legend Bill Jones.
And Pete really set us up. This is going to be one heck of a bout. And this is one of the reasons why a lot of the people in attendance are here tonight, is to see this fight, to see someone win a championship at 145 pounds, and to see if Josh Harvey can stay unblemished, avenge maybe an interesting decision down in New Hampshire, or actually Massachusetts, last time out, in which he was given a draw versus a very, very tough guy who we just saw fighting at the Ultimate Fighter finale in Joe Giannetti.
Yeah.
And make sure that people know that that was a fluke. That draw was a fluke, and that we should be owning a whole bunch more gold in New England.
I'm sure any fighter out there listening would love to have a draw with Joe Giannetti, right? I mean, that guy is elite. He's one of the best in New England, and I have no doubt he'll be making his, official debut in the octagon at some point down the line. But yeah, Josh Harvey, this is a big fight. Bill Jones, veteran, he's been doing this for a minute. Like, this guy's been around the block and back, and he's got a ton of experience. He came into the weigh-ins. I mean, he was yoked right up, nice and cut for 40 years old.
Yeah.
How many 40-year-old guys look like that? You know, so we'll see if he can utilize his, his experience here and pull off the upset.
Well, we've talked with Bill before, leading up to this fight a couple of weeks ago, but a guy who smoked for the majority of his life, and I believe he just stopped smoking, so congratulations to Bill on that. But you have to imagine, too, also with Harvey's penchant for ending things pretty quick, outside the Giannetti fight, in his pro career, he has never lasted past the first round. I imagine you don't want to blink because this one could be over pretty quickly. Same, I think, with the mentality. Bill and Josh both wanted to get this one done and send the fans home happy with a resounding finish.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And Josh Harvey in his hometown is coming looking for blood. He wants a big-time finish over a veteran guy like Bill Jones. This is a big fight for him. Josh is supposed to win. He's the young gun. He's the guy that's has a bright future. I mean, Bill Jones, let's face it, he's on the downside of his career. You know, this would be a major upset if he comes in here and beats Josh Harvey.
Yep.
So I expect fireworks. I expect him to come out swinging. But he alluded when he talked to us earlier, Brian, he said he's got tons of gas in the tank.
Yep.
He said he'll go the duration if needed. Don't expect we're going to see that no matter who wins. But, yeah, don't blink. This first round might be all she wrote.
Bill Jones, by the way, if you're looking back at his pro career early on, over 10 years ago, he beat a guy named Matt Pizzette via split decision, but still, he beat a guy who's now patrolling in the Ultimate Fighting Championship. He has lost quite a few. His record right now, 13-11. He never had an amateur fight, according to Tapology. And he has lost to some really tough combatants like Brian Kelleher, who's also in the UFC. Vavka Clay, who had a battle with Aaron Lacey, Josh's teammate. Oh, and by the way, he's also fought some really tough guys like Vince McGuinness, among others, and fought at World Series of Fighting.
Yeah, I mean, he actually beat Matt Bassett way back in the day, 2008.
Yeah.
So,
albeit over a decade ago, but still.
Still, man, you beat Matt Bassett. I mean, that's pretty darn good, I'd have to say. Also, you remember the fight right here in Bangor with Aaron Lacey and John Santos?
Oh, what a scrap that was.
Yeah,
oh.
he fought John Santos. Yep. He's got a win over John Lemke. I mean, John Lemke, a very, very good striker, a veteran of the sport. So that's a signature win. I mean, this guy's no joke. Don't make any mistakes about it. Like, his record being 13-11, look who he's fought. A lot of those losses are against absolute monsters.
And not just that, he did beat Matt Denning last time out at NEF 33 last April by way of a TKO in the second round. He has lost 3 of his past 4, but again, the caliber of opponents he's gone against is nothing to shake a stick at. But you hear the crowd start to yell because Josh Hook on Harvey, has entered cage side, and he's getting ready, flanked by some teammates like Rob Kaya, who already picked up a victory, and Chris Young, his coach at Young's MMA. Josh Harvey, 5-1 as an amateur, 5-0-1 as a pro. He's only lost 1 time in his career. He's beat Matt Denning, Zenon Herrera, Richie Collingham, Derek Shorey, Jay Ellis, and if you watch the fight, arguably beat Joe Giannetti back on November 3rd. And actually offered to have Joe fight here on this card against him, but Joe said, you know what, I'm having fun at Cage Titans. I'm going to stay down there. Don't want to see the fans at Bangor.
I would love to see them run it back. I mean, why not? Why not? You know, NEF, Cage Titans, whoever.
Why not?
Let's put it on, man. I know the fans want to see the rematch, and no one is satisfied with a decision like that. You want to see a winner. So I'd be happy if you run it back. If Josh gets by Bill Jones, let's do it.
Josh has some great flexibility. You look at him and you see he's the total package in terms of athleticism. It's a matter of if he has enough in the gas tank, if he can stay away from getting clipped by Bill, who's, again, such an experienced fighter. There's a lot on the line, and there's really, it could go anyone's way of things, so this should be one heck of a battle.
Time for the New England Fight Sub-Zero main event of the evening. 5-minute rounds for the vacant NEF Featherweight Championship. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner to my right. He's a Maine mixed martial arts legend. A madman on the motorway. He likes to create chaos in the cage. They call him Jonesy. Bill Jones! And his opponent, standing directly across the cage, fighting out of the red corner to my left. He trains with Young's MMA right here in Bangor, Maine. Ladies and gentlemen, Josh Hook on Harvey. 5 rounds, NEF Featherweight title.
Josh steps in the middle of this cage saying, this is mine. Like he does before every fight. Cameras are out. They know this one could be over in the blink of an eye.
Here we go. Round 1, Harvey opens up with a big kick. Again, that was a monster kick right down, and Bill Jones just shook it off and keeps coming forward.
We've seen some crazy things like Francis Ngannou and I'm trying to think who Ngannou was fighting going the full 5 rounds. You don't expect this one to go a full 5, though, right, Ryan?
I wouldn't imagine so. I think both of these guys, as we said before, they're looking for a finish. You know, Josh wants to get a highlight reel finish, whether it's a knockout, submission, it doesn't matter as long as he gets the win. And you know, Bill Jones, at this point of his career, this would be the perfect cap off. You know, I don't know how much longer he wants to fight for, but I mean, to beat a guy like Josh Harvey, that right there is a huge feather in your cap. So this is a very important fight to both of these guys.
Josh unbeaten in Bangor, Maine. He's fought here a couple of times, including in front of Dana White. Well, sort of. Dana wasn't in attendance at the time when he beat Zenon Herrera in the first round. Josh working. Now he's got the back. This is in a dangerous position for Jonesy now.
Josh's strength right here in the clinch, that could be a big factor here. I mean, you know, Josh is freakishly strong, and he's doing a good job of controlling Jones right now.
By the way, there was so much smack talk in the lead-up to this fight between both Bill Jones and Josh. No one knocking each other out with their words. But one of the things that Jones had said was that he didn't think Josh would make weight, and guess what? He did. One of the last fighters to weigh in, he made it on the button, 145. Meaning that there will be a champion crowned. Josh still with the hooks in.
Josh looking for a submission. Jones doing a good job of defending the Young's MMA product right now.
Looked like Josh might have had the arm, but now Jones gets out of it.
Now we'll see if Jonesy can score some points here.
So far, not exactly the fight we were expecting between these two really good fighters.
And the fight is called?
Not sure why. Did Josh get the win from his back?
That is one of the more bizarre stoppages I've seen.
I'm not sure if it was a verbal submission. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what had happened. But Jones is still right now face down in the chest of Harvey. Hopefully he's okay. Oh, and he got the elbow. Oh, look at that elbow. Do you see that, Ryan? Oh, my God. I think he might have dislocated something. Oh.
Where that was taking place, we could see none of it. But, yeah, that is gross.
Wow.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, right around the elbow where the tricep and the bicep meet. I'm looking at it now, and that does not look good. So I'm not exactly sure what happened there and when the stoppage occurred, but Josh Harvey, again, moves his record up to 6-0-1 now, as he gets raised up here, and the hometown crowd can go happy. But hopefully Bill Jones is okay, because that is not a good look with an injury that he's dealing with on his right arm. Ooh. Boy, oh boy. Well, not the way some people expected this fight to end, or this fight card to end, but nonetheless, Josh Harvey victorious in the main event. And Young's MMA having a pretty good night, all things considered.
The end comes at 2 minutes and 19 seconds of round number 1. Referee John English calls a halt to this contest. Your winner, due to a technical submission, and new NEF featherweight champion, Josh Hook on Harvey. Josh, if you could grab a word with you real quick. New champion. Josh, if you could grab a word with you real quick.
No, you're good.
We get the pictures out of the way. Somewhat of an anticlimactic ending. It looked like Bill Jones suffered an injury to his right arm. You were right there. Tell us exactly what happened. Walk us through it.
I mean, I threw him in that figure 4 armbar lock, and I heard it pop. You know, it was at the limit real quick. He didn't really have time to tap. I could have been nicer, I suppose, and given him a second, right? No. Break it!
Josh, new champion. Obviously, a lot of challenges to be vying for that belt in the upcoming months. Any message you want to send to them?
I mean, whoever wants to come up to Maine and fight.
Taking all comers, the new NEF featherweight champion, Josh Hook on Harvey.
And that concludes the night of fights, as we do have one champion of the schedule, too. The Richard Lear fight did go until a draw, but all things considered, 11 fights, 11 decisions ultimately, and a great night of fights from Bangor. Can't wait to see them back here in the Queen City in the near future.
Absolutely, and I definitely want to give a big shout out to Bert Falero and the Sea Dog. They sponsor us. They sponsor this event here tonight. They love mixed martial arts. Yep. And have really done a lot for the sport here in Maine and New England. On another quick note, Brian, if you don't mind, we've done a lot of work together here personally. I'd like to dedicate this broadcast to my late father, who I lost to cancer in August. He was my best friend. He's my biggest supporter. I couldn't possibly imagine loving anybody more than that man. And, this is the first broadcast that we've done since he's passed, so this one's for you, Dad.
Also want to give a shout out, and I echo those sentiments too. Your dad was a great man, and we honor him with a great night of fights here tonight. Also, thanks to Nick DeSalvo and Matt Peterson, along with Kim Mitchell and his great team. For Ryan Jarrell, I'm Brian Stackpole saying good night from the ballroom at the Cross Insurance Center. Thank you for enjoying NEF 37, and we can't wait to see you down in the Aura in April for NEF 38, another great edition of Mixed Martial Arts. Have a good night.